Have you ever wished you could go back and give your younger self some advice? Stoicism teaches us to accept what happens, to be strong, and to understand that our thoughts have a huge impact on our lives. These lessons are incredibly important because they can make our lives so much better. There's a Stoic saying, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." It reminds us that it's never too late to learn these lessons. I want to share how Stoicism can change your life for the better. Some of these principles might seem repetitive, but that's because they're so important. We need to practice them until they become a natural part of how we think and act. Let's explore these ideas together and see how embracing Stoicism, even now, can transform our lives in the most positive ways. Let's begin. Have you ever felt like all the noise around you was too much to handle? The never-ending rush of thoughts, demands, and the constant stress of keeping up? Think about this. Stoic philosophers from more than 2,000 years ago dealt with the same human feelings, problems, and questions about identity and meaning that people do today. Isn't it interesting that what people knew hundreds of years ago is still very important in today's fast-paced world? It's interesting how much we all get caught up in other people's ideas at some point in our lives. When we try to fit into the shapes that other people make for us, we often give up our peace of mind and happiness. But let's take a moment to learn about the old Stoic knowledge. Marcus Aurelius stressed how pointless it was to try to get approval from other people. Rather than telling us to please others, he challenges us to think about why we want to do that in the first place. Being aware that the only acceptance you really need is your own is a freeing thought, isn't it? Now think about it. When you go to sleep at night, you only have your own thoughts that stay with you. So why not think about who you really are, what you stand for, and what you do? Imagine being free to be yourself without worrying about what other people think or what the new trend is. But how can we stop caring what other people think? It starts with knowing and confirming what you stand for. What do you believe in? What's most important to you? When your acts are in line with what you believe, you feel deeply at peace and true to yourself, and no amount of outside praise can compare. Being proud of what makes you different also brings the right people into your life. Those who love you for who you are, not who they want you to be. Quality is more important than number. It's much more satisfying to have a few deep relationships based on mutual respect and understanding than to try to win the approval of everyone. It's important to remember that views are just that, opinions. People who say them often say more about themselves than about you because they are relative and changeable. Marcus Aurelius is right when he says that the only steady and real recognition comes from living a life that is in line with your values and beliefs. It's easy to think of not lying to other people when we talk about being honest. Stoicism, on the other hand, asks us to think about honesty in a much deeper way. It means making sure that what we do and say outside of work matches up with our views and values inside. This connection creates a deep sense of being honest and whole. One of the best Stoic philosophers, Epictetus, makes this point very clear. He says being honest is not only the right thing to do, it's also the smart thing to do. When we lie, we have to remember what we said, hide our tracks, and live in fear of being caught all the time. It's hard on the mind. Being honest, on the other hand, is easy and freeing. It sets us free from the web of lies and lets us live with ease and clarity. But here's the really scary part. Being honest with ourselves and with other people changes our relationships. We can grow and accept ourselves more fully when we are honest with ourselves about our flaws, our wants, and our strengths. It's like getting rid of the junk in our thoughts to make room for more peace, understanding, and real relationships with the people around us. Still, it's not always easy to be honest. That takes bravery and being open. Sometimes it means accepting we were wrong, facing our mistakes, and taking responsibility for what we did. But the reward, trust, respect, and a clean conscience, is worth over 1,000 times what it took. So how can we make this trait a part of our everyday lives? Small steps are taken at first. Be honest with each other in your relationships. Think about the day that was and admit the times when you may not have been completely honest. Think about why you did what you did and how you can do better. Be aware that being honest is a process, and each step you take in that direction is a step toward a better, more peaceful life. When someone says or does something that seems to hit us right where it hurts, we've all felt that sting. Given how well Seneca understood people, it is important to remember to look deeper than what meets the eye. He says that most of the time, when someone does something upsetting or insulting, it's not really about us. People act based on what they think, what they've been through, and their past. We all seem to be seeing the world through a different set of glasses that changes the way they see everything, including us. Now, think about a time when you yelled at someone or did something that wasn't like you. Most likely, you were dealing with something else like worry, fear, or nervousness, or you could have just been having a bad day. Now that we know this about ourselves, why not understand it in other people too? Seneca says that this change in point of view is about humanity, but it's also about protecting oneself. If we stop thinking that everyone's behaviors are about us, we can stop putting ourselves through the pain that comes with that. It's like letting go of a big load we've been dragging. All of a sudden, we have more freedom to breathe, move, and live. But how are we going to do this? Just how do we stop taking things personally when our feelings are already running high? There is a pause at the beginning. Before you respond badly, stop, take a deep breath, and remember what Seneca said. This might not be about me at all. This simple act of stopping can save you from a downward slide of anger or hurt and give you time to think of a better way to react. Building resilience and understanding is also important. We are less likely to be hurt by someone else's actions or words if we keep telling ourselves that we don't know everything they are going through. And when we do get hurt, which we will, we can use it to push ourselves to follow our Stoic ideals. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can it help me grow? By taking this Stoic attitude, we not only protect our peace of mind, but we also make room for more caring and important relationships. Because we understand each other better, we become less emotional and, in a way, more linked to the humanity in everyone we meet. Marcus Aurelius wrote a lot about being patient. He didn't just see it as waiting, he saw it as being involved with the present moment, no matter what it held. For him, being patient was like putting on armor to face the challenges of life. It turned things that could bother him into lessons in patience and calm. Sometimes it's nice to just accept that you can't move faster than the cars in front of you when you're stuck in traffic. You can use it to listen to your favorite music, a podcast, or just your own thoughts. Traffic won't change because of this change, but how you feel about it will. What used to be a frustrating burden will become a moment of peace or even pleasure. In the same way, when you're working with a difficult person, picture if you were patient instead of annoyed or angry. You give yourself a moment to understand where they're coming from and see that their actions are mostly caused by their own problems. This doesn't mean you put up with bad behavior. It just means you deal with it calmly and thoughtfully, which often eases stress and makes things better for everyone. The Stoic view of patience is to enjoy the present moment instead of fighting it. It means seeing the delay, the bother, or the problem as a part of the road, not as a way to get off track. Every moment of impatience is a chance to practice, learn more about Stoicism, and make your mind more calm. But how can we build up this kind of patience in our daily lives? It starts with being aware. Figure out when your impatience is beginning to rise. Then stop, take a deep breath, and think about Marcus Aurelius and all the other people who have been through much worse things with grace and patience. Changing your standards is another useful thing you can do. Most of the time, we get impatient when things don't go as planned. When we tell ourselves that we only control how we react to things and not everything else, we can be more realistic about what will happen in life and be at peace with it as it is. Each test of your patience should be seen as a chance, not a problem. Your patience grows every time you choose it over anger or frustration, just like a muscle gets stronger with use. And the benefits are huge. A calmer mind, less stress, and a reputation for being calm and thoughtful even when things are tough. Epictetus knew a lot about difficulties and being honest. Not only did he teach about Stoicism in class, but he also lived it every day and told his students to do the same. To reflect your philosophy means living a life that shows what you believe in and letting your deeds speak louder than your words. Think about how far your actions can spread if you just follow your beliefs. Other people notice when you are kind, even when things are hard. It might make them want to be nice back. When you show that you have character by sticking to your ideals, you set an example for those around you. It can be an inspiration to others who are suffering when you face hardship with resilience, staying cool and collected. But how are we going to do this? How can we show others how to do things? It starts with thinking about yourself. Please take a moment to think about the ideals that are most important to you. What do you want your life to be based on? Once you understand these, practice being patient. Try to make sure that what you do matches what you believe in. Every day, you should make choices that show what you stand for and who you are. Naturally, no one is perfect. We all have times when we're weak or make bad decisions. Being an example isn't about being perfect, though. It's about trying, which means doing your best to live by your values, even when it's hard. When you do mess up, you need to take responsibility for it, learn from it, and move on with even more drive. Consistency is another important part of setting a good example. You shouldn't just do the right thing when it's convenient or when everyone is looking. You should also stick to your ideals no matter what. This kind of stability earns trust and respect, and it's what really shows others how to act. Whether it's kindness, ethics, resilience, or any other trait, let's be inspired by Epictetus and work to live out our beliefs. Let's make it real by what we do. Don't forget that you have the power to move people, motivate them, and make the world a better place. Be the change you want to see in the world, and watch how other people follow your lead. There seems to be a lot of negativity, criticism, and yes, haters everywhere we look, on social media, in the news, and even in the people we talk to every day. It can be hard to handle, but they don't have to tell you how to be happy. Marcus Aurelius wrote a lot about keeping your inner peace when things are going badly around you. He talked about the inner citadel, which is a wall inside us that outside bad things can't get through unless we let them. This idea gives you a lot of power. Take a look. No matter what storms are going on outside, you have the power to make and keep a peaceful place inside yourself. So how do we block out the haters and protect our inner fortress? To begin with, it's about understanding what we can and cannot handle. We have no power over what other people do or say, including the mean things they say or the lies they spread. But we can choose how to react. We can choose to stay away from them, not take their bad moods personally, and not let them upset our peace. Another important Stoic tactic is to think about why someone is being negative. People who act out often have their own problems, fears, or pain that they are trying to hide. Knowing this doesn't mean we should excuse their behavior, but it can help us deal with them with kindness instead of defensiveness or anger. It helps us see that their negativity is not ours, but theirs. Maintaining our inner fortress requires mindfulness practice as well. When you feel bad, take a moment to breathe and stop. As you feel down, remind yourself that this is only a moment. it will be over. Feel free to change your day or mood because of it. You can keep your inner peace by being in the moment and staying grounded. Positive people, positive material, and things that bring you joy and peace should also be in your surroundings. Keep in mind that you can choose how you live your life. Pick the good things and let the bad things go by. When you tune out the haters, you're not putting up walls or not caring. You're picking where to put your energy and attention. To face difficulties with grace and resilience, it's important to maintain your inner peace and strength. Love is also very important in Stoicism, even though it might seem like it's all about thought. Seneca says that to love someone, you have to do things for them. You send out active, positive energy into the world, and it comes back to you in a beautiful return way. The more love you give, the more it comes back to you, often from places you least expect it. What, though, does it mean to be full of love in a strong way? It means treating everyone with kindness and respect in every contact. It means seeing the humanity in everyone, even the difficult ones. Wishing someone well means really wanting their happiness and health, no matter how they feel about you. Though it's not always easy, especially when someone is mean or negative, taking this stand is a strong one that can change your life and the lives of those around you. Being full of love also means being able to accept and understand. Every person we meet is going through their own hard times and having their own loads. We make their lives easier and our own easier by choosing love and kindness. We bond more deeply because we know we are all people. Stoicism also teaches us that love isn't just about relationships with other people. It's also about having a loving relationship with life itself, accepting all of its ups and downs, finding joy in the little things, noticing the beauty around us, and interacting with the world in a meaningful, positive way. So how can we develop this caring, calm way of looking at life? Start small. Say something nice to a stranger. Thank your loved ones. Practice thanks every day. And think about your actions and goals, and ask yourself if they come from love and kindness. And if someone is mean or negative, try to react with understanding and care. Remember that being full of love doesn't mean you're dumb or don't see how bad things really are. It means you choose to react to them with love instead of fear or anger. It's a brave and strong choice that can bring you true happiness and connection. How many times do we feel like we're not good enough after going through social media and seeing someone else's highlight reel? But here's a calm way to deal with this widespread problem. Concentrate on your own path, your own growth, and your own accomplishments. The Stoics, who were very wise, teach us that we should only compare ourselves to who we were yesterday, not to someone else today. Think about how freeing this idea is. Picture ending the never-ending loop of thinking about what other people are doing, looking over your shoulder, and feeling like you're not good enough. The Stoics give us a different point of view. Your trip is unique and has its own obstacles, successes, and lessons. By accepting this, you respect your own unique path and build a sense of self-worth that doesn't depend on approval from other people. But how are we going to make this work? Don't pay attention to bad things, especially in a world that makes us compare and fight all the time. For starters, we need to be aware of when we're comparing things. Feel that twinge of jealousy or self-doubt when you see someone else happy or successful. Accept it, and then gently tell yourself, it's okay that my path is different. Next, take the time to enjoy your successes, no matter how small they may seem. Did you take on a tough job at work? Did you be nice to someone you didn't know? Did you take care of yourself? All of these are wins that should be celebrated. You can keep the idea that your journey is real and important by praising your own growth. Thinking about how you've changed is another powerful Stoic exercise. Take a moment to remember where you were a year, 5 years, or even 10 years ago. Take note of the progress you've made, the problems you've solved, and the lessons you've learned. This thought process not only makes you feel better about your own self-worth, but it also makes you value your unique trip even more. Keep in mind that the Stoics didn't just measure success in life by money or job. They also looked at things like knowledge, virtue, resilience, and inner peace. So, when you check how far you've come, think about these deeper, more important signs of growth. Are you able to wait your turn more often now? Better at being kind, more durable? These are the kinds of accomplishments that really show how much you've grown as a person. In the chaos of our daily lives, it's easy to get caught up in the little things, the never-ending lists of things we need to do, and the never-ending chase of our own goals. But Stoicism, with its deep understanding of how people live, tells us of what's really important, the bonds we have with the people we love. Stoicism may appear to be all about self-control and resilience, but at its core, it cares a lot about relationships and society. People who lived in the Stoic era knew that life is short, and that every moment with loved ones is valuable and should not be wasted. These quotes tell us to enjoy the present moment and the people who make our lives more meaningful and joyful. Now the question is how to put this into practice, especially when life gets busy and we find other things to do. Making an effort to be present with our loved ones while we are with them is the first step in developing mindfulness. It means giving them our full attention when they talk and letting them know that we care about what they have to say. Another important part is showing thanks. This means letting our loved ones know that we appreciate them, not just in big ways, but also in the little things that happen every day that make our relationships unique. A simple thank you, appreciation note, or kind word can mean a lot. It shows that you value the other person and what they bring to our lives. Then there's showing love, which can be done in a lot of different ways that are unique to each person and each relationship. It could mean spending valuable time together, being there for each other when things get tough, or talking about your happiness and successes. From a Stoic point of view, love is active and involved. It means being there for people when it matters. It's very important to make time for the people we care about. When we're busy, it's easy to forget about our relationships and think that they'll always be there for us. But the somber lesson that life is short forces us to put our relationships first and make time for the people who mean most, even when it seems like a million other things need our attention. When we cherish our loved ones, we recognize the unique role they play in our lives and show our appreciation by giving them our time, care, and love. When we know that these connections are what give our lives real value and meaning, we work hard to keep them strong. Have you ever felt like you were running a race that had no end, looking for happiness, success, and peace all the time, but they always get away from you when you get close? It's okay to feel like more is better sometimes. When we get lost and separated from what really counts, it's easy to look for comfort in the next big thing, success, or so what? But what if I told you that the key to a happy life has been right in front of us for more than 2,000 years? Now we're going to learn a lot from Marcus Aurelius, the Roman ruler who lived through problems and stresses that are hard to imagine, but who found strength, peace, and clarity in the principles of Stoicism. This isn't just old theory, it's a plan for living a strong, happy life. Imagine being able to handle life's storms with unwavering calm, making choices with confidence, and enjoying every moment with a heart full of thanks. Being silent can help you in that way. Stay here if you're sick of the never-ending chase and want to find more peace and meaning in your life. Now we'll talk about how the ancient advice of a stern ruler can change your life today. Stoicism has something for everyone, whether you're dealing with stress, looking for meaning, or just wanting to learn more about yourself. We should learn more about Marcus Aurelius as a person, because that will make the wise things he says even more powerful. Marcus was not your average Roman ruler. He was a philosopher king who is often named the last of the 5 good emperors. Imagine that you are in charge of one of the biggest powers in history. You have to deal with endless wars, political intrigue, and the huge pressures of power. Now picture trying to live by a theory that values ethics, self-control, and inner peace while doing all of those things. That was Marcus Aurelius's everyday life. His private thoughts, collected in meditations, were never meant to be seen by others. Instead, they were meant to be a conversation with himself, a way for him to live out his Stoic views while dealing with the challenges of life and leadership. These works give an honest look into his struggles to live a meaningful and honest life. They show that the search for inner peace is universal and doesn't depend on time or position. Now, why should we care about what an old ruler thought all these years ago? Because the problems he had, dealing with stress, controlling his anger, and getting through hard times, are problems that all people have and always have had. We can find inner peace even in the middle of chaos, and Marcus Aurelius shows us how to deal with life's unknowns with patience and understanding. As we talk about his evening habits, don't think of them as strict rules. Instead, see them as guidelines that helped him connect with his core self, reflect, and recharge every night. These habits aren't just interesting pieces of history. They teach us how to end our days with purpose and mindfulness, and how to get ready for the tasks ahead with a calm, clear mind. When was the last time you really turned off everything? I mean, really took a step back from the constant pings, rings, and slides that make up our daily lives? It's hard, right? Our world depends on always being connected, getting answers right away, and always trying to get things done. However, consider this idea that may change your mind. Marcus Aurelius knew something deep that many of us miss in our always-on culture: the power of going inside our own minds. There is clarity when we are alone and can listen to our inner voice without the outside world getting in the way. This is what it would be like if, as the day comes to a close, you turned off all of your electronics to save battery life and to stop being constantly informed. You enter a place where your own thoughts and feelings are the only things that keep you up to date. This isn't about being alone. It's about making a safe place for your mind to relax, clear out, and start over. But it's not enough to just turn off our devices. We also need to tune into our inner selves and think about our days, not through the lens of our social media feeds or the latest news alerts, but through our own feelings and experiences. What learned? How did you get bigger? What happy times did you have, and what hard times did you have? Disconnecting is a way to become more self-aware and calm. It's a promise to value your peace of mind as much as you value staying up to date or having fun. And in this quiet place, you're not just dodging stress. You're also actively creating peace, getting your mind ready for a good night's sleep. So, I dare you to find your own escape within. Make it a daily habit to take a break from the busy world around us and go somewhere quiet and peaceful to think about yourself. We really connect with ourselves at these times, setting the stage for a life lived with purpose and inner peace. In today's world, we're often so focused on our screens and long lists of things to do that we forget about our bodies, which are what take us through everything. Marcus showed us that exercise isn't just about getting stronger or having more energy. It's also about balancing our minds and bodies. I'm not telling you to work out like you're getting ready for the Colosseum. No matter what that means for you, this is about finding ways to honor your body's need to move. One way could be a slow yoga class that helps you relax and connect with your breath. Another could be a fast walk under the stars that lets you forget about the worries of the day and just enjoy the world around you. You can show yourself respect by moving your body. It tells you that you matter and that your health is important. And working out has this lovely ripple effect. It clears your mind, makes you feel better, and helps you discover an inner power that you may have forgotten you had. Stoicism teaches us about endurance and the power of not giving up when things get hard. This way of thinking can show up in your body through exercise, every step you take while running or doing yoga, or every time you choose to move your body even though you're tired or busy. You're practicing stoic resilience and making your mind tough as well as your body strong. So, I want you to take a moment every night to honor and care for your body. Think of it as a daily way to show appreciation for all the amazing work it does to keep you alive. Pay attention to how this practice affects not only your physical health, but also your mental clarity and emotional resilience. If you think about what happened, this might sound like an easy job, but there's a lot more to it than that, especially if we look at it with a calm mind. Stoicism isn't just about getting through hard times. It's also about learning from everything, taking what we've learned and using it in the future. Marcus's advice to review every day isn't just a list of events. It's an active, thoughtful way to look at yourself and grow. Let us break it down. Imagine ending your day with some quiet time to think, instead of mindlessly scrolling through your phone or worried about what will happen tomorrow. You think, what went well today? Don't take these times of happiness or success for granted. Recognizing them makes you more grateful and encourages you to keep doing good things. Then you think about the problems you had to solve. We all have those times when our patience, character, and even our morals are put to the test. It's not about shaming yourself when you think about these things. It's about learning and understanding. What made you angry or stressed? What did you say? Did you have a response that was different from what you thought you would do? This is where Stoic knowledge really shines, showing us how to handle life's problems with virtue and calm. Then there is growth. Every day brings lessons and chances to change. You may have learned that you are stronger than you thought, or discovered a new way to improve yourself. This conversation with yourself is how you set goals for improvement and make a more planned way forward. The important thing is that this process is based on being kind and compassionate with yourself. Marcus Aurelius had a lot of responsibilities and problems, but he looked at his thoughts with respect and compassion. He wasn't harsh or critical with himself. Instead, he was honest, thoughtful, and focused on growth. As we follow this Stoic practice, let's do it with the same attitude. Look back on your day not as a judge, but as a teacher, figuring out what went well and what could have been better, and then strive to be a little better tomorrow than you were today. To my friends, this practice is an important part of both Stoic thought and a purposeful, honest life. That's how we can learn from the past, fully live in the present, and get ready to face the future with grace and confidence. Spend some time tonight thinking about these things, learning from them, and making plans for the future. Your future self will thank you. Marcus often looked to his role models for advice. He didn't actually ask them for help, but he did think about the good things about them and how he could use those traits in his own life. He looked up to people like Zeno, who is known as the father of Stoicism. He even made up teachers from history or myths and thought about how they would handle the different problems he faced. Now let's apply this to our own lives. We all have heroes, people we look up to, whether they are important people from history, leaders in the present, family members we love, or characters from our favorite stories. Not only do these people's accomplishments inspire us, but also the bravery, honesty, kindness, and persistence they show. How then can we make this a habit? The first step is to figure out who your role models are. Write down the things you like about the people you admire. Is it their kindness, imagination, or resilience? You can start to tell your own story with these traits, once you have a clear picture of them. Think about a tough choice or problem you need to solve. Now stop and ask yourself, what would my role model do in this situation? This doesn't mean you should simply copy what they do. Instead, use what they do to help you make decisions and decide what to do. Thinking about things is like practicing in your mind, which helps you make sure that your actions are in line with your best values and goals. But here's the important part. This isn't about comparing yourself to someone else or failing to live up to your own imagined version of them. It's about finding inspiration and personal growth, about connecting with the traits you value and letting them lead you to your best self. Marcus used this activity to improve himself, get over being petty, and become a wise and caring leader. We can do the same thing by using our role models as lighthouses to guide us when it looks like we don't know how to move forward. So think about your role models and the good qualities they show. Let their light shine on your path, showing you the way, motivating you to grow. It's not just a way to get compliments, it's also a way to improve yourself, connect with your inner knowledge, and live a life that aligns with your core values. Remember that we're all still changing, and that each day is a new chance to grow, get better, and become more like the person we want to be. We should go on that journey with open minds and hearts, getting ideas from people we look up to and following our own inner guidance. Marcus pushed for a mental exercise he called the view from above. In this exercise, you picture rising above your current situation and looking at your life from a farther away. You could imagine taking off from where you are now and flying high into the sky. From there, you could see your life. Everything about your daily life changes, your problems, your wins, and everything else. So why is this change in point of view so strong? It's easy to lose sight of the bigger picture when we're up in the thick of things. That annoying traffic jam, the fight with a coworker, even our biggest successes, all seem to take over when we're in the middle of them. But when we look at things from a higher level, we can see that our own lives are but small threads in the huge fabric of human life. This view from above helps us understand how everything is linked. Your happiness and sadness, your hopes and fears are all part of the trip we all share as humans. You can see from above that every life, including yours, is a valuable, short part of a bigger story. But this exercise does more than just help us see our problems in a bigger picture. It also makes us feel more grateful and amazed. The world is beautiful, complicated, and mysterious when you see it from above. There are a lot of amazing things about the world we live in, our lives, and just the fact that we exist. Now, how can we use this process to become more patient in our everyday lives? To do this, all you have to do is take a moment at the end of the day to sit quietly and picture this climb. Picture yourself rising above your city or country and viewing the world with calm detachedness. Think about your place in this big picture and let that view give your everyday life a greater sense of relationship and meaning. When we look at things from this point of view, we're not downplaying our own feelings or emotions. Instead, we're putting them in a bigger picture, which can be very freeing. It helps us remember that even though each of us is special and important in the world, we're also a part of something much bigger. So, as the day comes to a close, let's learn from Marcus and broaden our view. We should tell ourselves of how beautiful life is and how we fit into it. Not only is this a philosophical exercise, but it's also a way to live with more grace, thanks, and awe. That's a pretty big change in a world that often feels crazy and impossible to handle, don't you agree? Things move so quickly these days that it's easy to miss these special family times. In a Stoic sense, family gives us love, support, and a sense of connection, while also giving us a sense of stability and what's really important in life. We forget to appreciate the people who make all our hard work useful when we're too focused on our own goals, our screens, and our never-ending to-do lists. Marcus and the Stoics can teach us something, though. We can be inspired to connect with our loved ones, to really be present with them, and to care for the bonds that keep us going. What does this look like in real life? It's not enough to be in the same room or sit at the dinner table together while everyone else is hooked to their phones. We need to talk to each other and share our hopes, fears, and joys. It means really hearing what your loved ones are saying and trying to understand their points of view, hopes, and problems. These times spent together don't have to be big or well thought out. They can be as easy as a walk in the park, a game night, or reading stories before bed. What matters is how well you connect with others and how present your mind and heart are during these exchanges. Stoicism teaches us something very important about these times. They don't last. Marcus Aurelius was very aware of how short life was, which made him value his time with his family even more. Never forget how valuable the time we spend with our loved ones is, because we never know what the future holds. Putting our family first not only makes our ties better, but it also takes care of our own health. These ties hold us down, remind us of how human we are, and give us strength and love that can't be replaced. Let's spend time with our families, give them our full attention, and treasure these moments. At the end of the day, what makes our lives better is having love in our lives. Let's not let the stress of our daily lives take away these important joys. Instead, let's make a promise to strengthen the bonds that hold us together and find strength, love, and joy in the heart of our families. Marcus didn't just go with the flow every day, even though he had the power of an entire kingdom at his hands. He knew how important it was to plan ahead and make plans for the next day so that he could live each day in line with his values and goals. As you close your eyes at night, how often do you find yourself so tired that you don't even think about the next day? Still, here is one of the best leaders in history, taking the time every night to organize his thoughts and get ready for the next day. What does this tell us? Well, it's not just making a to-do list, though that's an important part of it. It's also about setting your plans and making sure that your future actions are in line with your inner values and goals. Take a moment to think about what kind of person you want to be tomorrow. What good traits do I want to have? How can I handle the problems I might face in a way that shows who I really am? By making these decisions, you're not just getting ready for the day, you're building a life one step at a time. You have to carefully place each brick so that they all fit together and form the foundation of your life. And when you set your goals for the next day every night, you make sure that every brick fits perfectly, making something lasting and important. This daily habit changes your mornings too. Instead of feeling confused and ready to take on the day, you wake up with a clear mind and a plan. You know what you want and what you stand for. You also have a plan to get there. It's a strong way to live, full of purpose and tough determination. Another important thing to remember is the part about grace. Marcus Aurelius approached every day with a sense of grace, knowing how beautiful and lucky it was to just be living and have the chance to try, grow, and contribute. When we get ready in the morning with this kind of grace, we fill our lives with thanks and meaning, and even the smallest tasks become important ones. So, please remember this lesson. Every night before bed, think about what you will accomplish the next day. How are you going to grow? How will you handle the problems that are bound to come up with patient knowledge and grace? You are not only planning when you do this, you are also setting the stage for a life lived with deep purpose. Do you ever feel like there's one person who stays calm when everything else around them seems to be going wrong? That's what Stoicism is all about. It's not just a theory from the past, it's also a set of useful tools for everyday life. Marcus Aurelius was the Roman emperor and a Stoic. He lived through wars, plagues, and court politics, but he is known for being incredibly calm and wise. What's his secret? He knew that life is uncertain and often hard, but how we deal with these problems is what makes us unique. Now, picture using that same power in your daily life to handle everything from tough talks to life's unexpected turns. Here are 10 important lessons from Stoicism that will help you stay calm while things get tough. These aren't just abstract ideas. They're real-world methods that have stood the test of time and can be used to solve problems in the 21st century. Remember that these lessons aren't about becoming heartless as we go through them. Following Marcus Aurelius's advice to see every problem as a chance to get stronger and more resilient is a big part of becoming in charge of your feelings. Take care of the things you can. In today's busy world, keeping calm can seem like an impossible job. But Stoicism has a timeless gift for you. Focus on what you can control. This isn't about ignoring the problems in your life. It's about using your energy well. Imagine that you are a fighter in the present day, but not in battle. Your guns, your decisions, deeds, and way of thinking. Do something every day. It's full of choices and acts, some small and some big. This is where your power is. Maybe you can't change the traffic, the weather, or someone else's mood, but you can change how you respond. Stoicism is not about hiding your feelings. Rather, it's about acknowledging them and then choosing what to do about them. Sometimes feelings are like unwanted guests. You can let them stay or kick them out. Allow anger or sadness to enter, understand why they're there, and then lead them out of the room. You make the rules for your mental home. Picture your mind as a garden. Your inner scenery is made up of the plants you put in it and the care you give them. Your job in this garden is to both care for it and plan it. Plant seeds of happiness, water them with kind deeds, and pull out the negative ones. This doesn't mean ignoring the hard facts of life. It means picking the frames through which you see them. No matter what's going on outside, when you focus on changing your thoughts and actions, you create a safe place to be calm inside. Accept yourself as you are. Being accepting is like having a quiet ability. Picture yourself on a beach with waves crashing at your feet. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn how to ride them. This is how Stoicism teaches us to accept things as they are. We don't have to give up or act like everything is fine when it's not. We just have to accept that we can't change some things. We don't fight them. Instead, we learn to change and move with them. Now, think of a bad way to start the day. You drop your coffee, don't catch the bus, or forget to do something important. It's simple to let these things ruin your day, or even your mood. But what if you just accept that these bad things happen? You clean up the mess, get on the next bus, and then do the thing you forgot to do. If you change your attitude from anger to acceptance, you can turn a bad day into a task you're ready to take on. Let's bring Marcus Aurelius up to date. Even though he doesn't tweet or post, his advice is always useful. He would likely tell us that getting mad about traffic, the weather, or a rude comment online is like trying to stop the rain. It doesn't work. What we can do instead is pick how to respond. When things don't go our way, how we react, not what happens, makes us who we are. We can be mad, or we can take a deep breath, accept it, and figure out what to do next. Being able to accept things doesn't make you weak. It makes you strong. You pay more attention to what you can change when you accept what you can't change. In a storm, you change into a tree that bends but doesn't break. You have more control because you aren't focusing on things you can't change. Every time you practice acceptance, you're building resilience, and with each struggle, you get stronger. That's a lesson that should be learned. Mindfulness should be practiced. Mindfulness, which is often thought of as a hard idea, is truly the secret tool of Stoicism for dealing with the stress of modern life. Picture this. You're busy with daily tasks, and your mind is running from the things you wish you could change about yesterday to the things you worry about tomorrow. Stoicism says, pause, breathe, and be here now. In Stoicism, mindfulness isn't about big events. It's about finding magic in everyday things. Every moment is a chance to stay in the present, whether you're drinking coffee, going to work, or just taking a deep breath. It means focusing on the present moment and not getting lost in the past or the future. Let's do something useful. First, pay attention to your feelings. What can you see, hear, or smell? It's not enough to close your eyes and meditate. You need to open them wider to see more of the world. Taste every bite you take. Feel every step you take. It turns everyday things into times of mindfulness. And when your mind goes off on its own, which it will, gently bring it back. It's not about being perfect. It's about not giving up. When you work out your mind, it gets stronger, just like a muscle. Remembering that mindfulness doesn't mean running away from reality. It means being more present in it. It means keeping your mind and heart calm as you face the difficulties of life. Mindfulness is taking a deep breath before you open the door when worry knocks. It means realizing that this very moment is all we have. Grab it and live it to the fullest. This is the Stoic way. Not an easy way to live, but a way to live a life with depth. Build up your resilience. When life throws us problems, we often reach a crossroads and wonder if we can keep going. Yes, you've been there. Even though I'm feeling swamped, there's something moving inside me, a whisper of power that won't be shut up. That is the Stoics' unwritten national anthem, resilience. It rings clear in the chaos of our modern world. It's about being strong when life throws you curveballs, not because you can't be broken, but because you know how to bend without breaking. Epictetus once gently nudged us with a simple truth. What matters is not what happens to you, but how you react to it. This isn't about ignoring your problems. It's about using them to your advantage. When you face a problem head-on, your mental muscle gets stronger. This is because resilience is like that. When you wake up every day, you have to remember that even though the world is uncertain, you don't have to be. You are the artist. Life is your canvas, and resilience is your brush. You use grit and determination to paint over the rough spots. You see, building resilience isn't a stroll in the park. It's a trip, often uphill, full of self-doubt and failures. But keep in mind that every step, no matter how small, is a step toward becoming your inner Stoic. You start by facing the pain head-on instead of avoiding it. When you have to deal with problems, that's when you show how strong you really are. When life throws you a surprise, catch it, look at it, and learn from it. Learning to dance in the rain with an energy that won't be dampened is a key component of resilience. Choose what to say. Your answer has the power to change your life. Stoicism teaches us an important lesson. How we deal with problems in life shapes our path as warriors in today's fast-paced world. It's more important than ever to accept this knowledge. When bad things happen, remember that the situation is not in charge of your feelings. You are. It's like writing the story for your own movie. Every scene and move is up to you. So, when something surprising happens, take a deep breath and wait. This pause isn't a sign of weakness. It's the strength of a wise person picking an answer that makes you look better. Using this Stoic lesson doesn't mean hiding your feelings or not caring about anything. It means recognizing them, angry, sad, or happy, and then using them to do something good. You are not a leaf in the wind, blown around by fate. You are the captain of your ship, seeing it through storms and calm waters. This way of thinking turns problems into opportunities. If you're upset about your job, use your energy to be creative or learn something new. If your heart is broken, Use that strong feeling to get to know other people or yourself better. You're not just living, you're growing and writing a story of resilience and growth by picking your reaction. Limit your strong wants. Have you ever been interested in things that you know deep down won't make you happy, but you still chase them? That's the trap of having too many wants. Stoicism, an old idea that is still as new as the sun rising tomorrow, tells us to stay away from this trap. It's not about not having any fun, but about finding fun in the important things in life. This lesson isn't about lowering your standards or being happy with average. It's about focusing on what really makes your life better. Trying to find peace in a stormy thought is like trying to hear the noise of all the things you want. Get past that noise. It's not how many things you have in your life, but how good they are. What really makes you happy? Is it the short-lived thrill of a new buy, or is it something more permanent, like the comfort of a good relationship, the joy of a well-earned victory, or the peace of a moment to yourself? This is the kind of prize that stays valuable over time. You're not losing anything by limiting your extreme wants. You're just taking back control of your happiness. Don't forget that the richest person is not the one with the most stuff, but the one who doesn't need much. So, how do you make this happen? Get rid of all the extra stuff in your life, not just your clothes. Clear your mind of the useless things you want. Pay attention to the things that make your life better, like relationships, mental growth, and new situations. These are the gems that make our lives better. Do not rush into getting the next big thing. Instead, take a deep breath and ask yourself, do I really need this? Does it make me a better person? A lot of the time, no. Take a deep breath and be thankful for what you already have. Always keep in mind that you don't have to be happy at the finish line of the run for more. It's right here, in living a life that's in line with your values. Do good things. It's hard to balance the responsibilities of life with your beliefs, and you know how hard it is. Stoicism does teach us a strong lesson, though. Be good. This book is a simple but deep way to stay calm in the busy world we live in now. These aren't big actions. They're small, honest, brave, smart, and self-controlled things that people do every day. These traits, which are wise beyond their time, are the rocks that keep our world from getting too crazy. Stupid sage Epictetus said, "First, tell yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This quote is more than just words. It tells you what to do. It starts with thinking about yourself and what you want to become. Then it's time to make sure that your behaviors are in line with this goal. If you want to feel calm, stay calm when things get tough. Stand up for what you believe in even when you're scared. You are defined by what you do, not by what happens to you. When you do these good things every day, you build a wall of calm around yourself that can protect you from both big and small problems. Even in this busy digital age, the quiet route is useful and useful. It's about choosing carefully when everything around you is pushing you to hurry up. Choose to stop and think. When anger or rage comes knocking, greet it with understanding and then let it go. You practice Stoic values when you have to make a choice. Keep in mind that it's not about being great, but about getting better. If you live by these ideals every day, you're not just getting through life. You're learning how to live a peaceful life, one step at a time. This is what Stoicism is all about, a dedication to virtue as a way to find inner peace. Learn to accept that life is temporary. That's right, the world doesn't stop when we face problems, and we shouldn't either. Accepting that life changes is an important moral lesson that keeps us grounded in reality, especially when things get rough. Even though life is unpredictable, it is always moving. It was here 1 minute and gone the next. This is not a reason to give up, but to take action. People always tell us to enjoy the present, value the moments that fly by, and get the most out of every situation. Change is the only thing that stays the same, so you have to learn to dance in the rain instead of waiting for the storm to end. Time is a river, Marcus Aurelius once thought, a violent current of events glimpsed once and already carried past us, and another follows and is gone. This vivid metaphor sums up the Stoic view on how short life is. It serves as a warning that we should not dwell on the past or worry about the future. Instead, we should focus on the moment. How we spend our time is the most important thing. This doesn't mean we don't plan for the future. It just means we do it with the knowledge that anything could happen at any time. Finding balance means getting ready for tomorrow while living fully in the present. Now, think about how this new knowledge can change the way you live your daily life. Focus on the present, the only time you can act and make a change. Don't hold on to the good times of the past or worry about the unknown future. The present is real and can be touched, while the past and future are just memories. Accepting that life changes over time helps you find peace that isn't disturbed by the changes that happen in it. That's not what this is about. It's about finding security in the middle of life's natural storms. No matter how crazy things are around you, if you learn this lesson from Stoicism, you'll find a source of calm within. It's a strong warning that even if things change around you, your ability to stay calm and resilient will always be there, like a light of peace in a sea of chaos. What it means to be thankful. Life today is so fast-paced that we often get lost in our wants and regrets and forget how amazing it is that we are here. But there is a strong light that shines through this fog. Seneca, an ancient philosopher, strongly believed in it, the deep power of thanks. It's not enough to just thank God for the big wins. We also need to notice the small blessings that happen every day. Stoicism's lesson isn't just a theory, it's also a useful tool that helps us focus on what's important. Seneca taught that gratitude is not a feeling, but an action that changes the world. When things go well, it's easy to be thankful. Finding reasons to be thankful, even when things don't go our way, is what makes being grateful really hard. As the rain falls, it's important to see the beauty in the day and learn from mistakes. We develop a resilient and happy heart by changing our point of view to value the full range of events. Sophists said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without worrying about the future." Seneca's words echo the call to be grateful for the present moment. The key is to start small. Notice something small, like how the sun feels on your skin, a stranger's smile, or your favorite song. By noticing these small pleasures, we form a habit of thanks that helps us weather the storms that come our way. And when we do that, we don't just live, we grow, finding peace and happiness inside ourselves that nothing else can take away. This is how Stoics live their lives, and it's not just a way to be calm. Continue to grow and learn. Challenges, my friend, are the people we don't want but have to deal with. They just show up without warning and aren't always welcomed. They do, however, bring a gift, the chance to grow incredibly. Stoicism tells us to face these times with the strength of a fighter, not with surrender. When we face the unknowns of life, that's when we become truly strong. This made Epictetus wonder, who then is unbeatable? The one who cannot be upset by anything outside their reasoned choice. This ancient idea guides us on our path to becoming better people. It pushes us to think about the decisions and actions we make inside ourselves instead of things that happen outside of our power. Not the size of the problems we face, but how we choose to deal with them is what really shows our growth. How we act and what happens to us are shaped by the small choices we make every day. We build a strong and resilient character through decisions that may not seem important at the time. This shows that we are committed to growing as people. Our road is personal and different from anyone else's, so we can't compare them. Every step we take and every fall we make is ours to own and learn from. We don't just grow by reading or thinking. We grow by living, by interacting with the world around us, and putting our views and ideals to the test in real life. This is what modern Stoicism is all about, being wise in a way that you can use. This book is about getting dirty with life and knowing that in the chaos there is a chance to become stronger, smarter, and more resilient. Come along on your journey with courage in your heart and an open mind to the lessons that lie ahead. These 10 lessons, which are based on the Stoic philosophy, will help you handle life's problems and risks with calm and confidence. Remember that real calm comes from inside. The people you hang out with, like friends or family, could be what brings you down. If you want to be better, spend time with people who bring out the good in you. You may have also heard that the 5 people closest to you shape your actions and thoughts. Let's look at this idea through the lens of Stoicism. I'm going to talk about 12 types of people who might stop you from becoming more stoic and why you might want to think twice about being friends with them. The whiner. Everyone knows someone who is always upset about something, like the weather, their job, or even going out to eat. They always say something bad. You might think, I'll just ignore them, but it's not that easy. Being around bad people all the time can really bring you down, like a leaky faucet that drains your emotions slowly. Stoicism tells us not to just complain, but to make things better. Picture working with someone who always has something bad to say. Every meeting turns into a long list of complaints instead of useful conversations. Everyone feels bad about it, and it makes it hard to solve issues. The job, or even just life in general, might make you feel really tired. Let's say you're working on a big project at work and have a friend, let's call them John, who always has something bad to say in every meeting. John thinks about what's wrong, like having too much work or issues with the plan. You might try to be helpful at first, but after a while, John's constant bad mood starts to make everyone feel bad. Everyone is tired after meetings that are stressful and don't get anywhere. The Stoics say that you can deal with this by focusing on what you can change. John's attitude can't be changed, but you can change how you feel and what you think. Don't let John's bad mood get to you. Instead, focus on doing your best. Next, ask John about his bad thoughts. People's thoughts aren't always true or important. Try to get rid of those bad thoughts and see the project's good points. Then, make everyone feel good. To make your team and the place where you work better, use Stoic ideas and a happy attitude. Stoicism tells us that changing other people is not the point. The point is to deal with and react to what is happening around us. This way, you can keep a positive attitude and keep your mind on finding answers instead of getting caught up in someone else's bad mood. Why does Stoicism help us deal with people who complain? There are a few things you can do. First, try to stay away from this person as much as possible. If you can't because they're a family member or friend, move your thoughts away from them when they start to complain a lot. Imagine their complaints as a storm, loud and unruly, but not powerful enough to disturb your inner calm. The third choice is to change the subject or shift the conversation to something more helpful. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have control over your mind, not over what happens outside. Understand this, and you'll find strength." This Stoic advice reminds us to be careful to keep our peace of mind and to make sure that people who always complain don't get in the way of our efforts to stay strong and good. Imagine that your life is going along like a boat, but all of a sudden you meet someone who is a huge source of drama. It seems like they always have issues, fights, or problems, and they can pull you into the middle of their chaos like a storm does. You might think at first that their drama is fun and that they are full of energy and emotion. You'll quickly learn that being with them is tiring and dangerous, like sailing through a storm. When you deal with someone who is always upset, their problems start to feel like your problems as well. Their stress makes you angry, and you may get into fights you had nothing to do with. Let's say your friend Lois gets into a lot of fights with other people in your group. Lois recently got into a big fight with some friends over something that happened in the group. Lois is very angry and doesn't get why other people don't agree with her. She talks badly about them a lot and is very angry. You feel stressed and stuck when you're around this. The fights are all Lois can talk about, and it doesn't look like she'll stop. Talking to Lois and giving her advice didn't help. It didn't make things better or calm her down. Stoic ideas can help you deal with this without getting caught up in the bad vibes. One way to do this is to practice thoughtful attention. You don't have to argue or fight with Lois. Just repeat what she says without judging it. You could say something like, "So you're really upset they don't see it your way, right?" This way, you don't start a fight and make things worse, but you also show Lois that you're listening and understand how she feels. You might want to use the last tip. Start being busy on purpose if Lois keeps making things hard, and you know that sticking in this group won't make you happy or help you reach your goals. This could mean taking a break from the group or moving on to other things and people that make you feel better. Stoicism teaches us to value our time highly, which can sometimes mean not being available to help other people with their problems, especially if those problems keep happening and never get fixed. Turn off your phone for a while, set times when you'll only be working or working on yourself, and let people know they shouldn't bother you during those times. Seneca said, "To be truly happy means to enjoy what is happening right now without worrying too much about what will happen later." This is a great way to think when you're around people who are mean. Don't stress about what drama might happen next. Instead, pay attention to what you can control right now. Don't let other people's problems get in the way of your life. Keep your journey calm and peaceful, and stay away from any drama that could get in the way of your growth and peace. Think of yourself as an artist working on a painting. With each brushstroke, you add color, depth, and life to the picture. Then a negative person comes in, looks at your picture, and starts to judge everything. "Is that the right color? That looks unrealistic," they state. You should know that most artists fail. Their bad words are like gray lines on your bright picture. They make it look bad and raise questions. Let's say you're really excited about starting a new job. You've learned about it, talked to experts, and maybe even taken some classes. But when you tell some people about it, they start right away listing all the problems that could happen. It's a tough market. Do you really have the skills? What if it doesn't work out? Suddenly, you start to question yourself, and your confidence starts to waver. Don't let their bad mood affect you or make you doubt yourself. Question your doubts to find answers instead of letting them bring you down. Things like, why is the market competitive? How can I get better? What can I learn from failing? Instead of just focused on the bad things, this makes their anger a chance to think about how to solve problems and deal with problems. Remember to believe in yourself and not let other people's worries make you give up. If you're with a cynic, especially if they're close, don't just talk about your plans. Ask them for help instead. This might make them more helpful and less harsh. Another tactic is to address their negative in a positive way. You can't switch careers now, for example. If they say that, ask them, how do you think someone could successfully change careers? This will change the subject to something more positive and helpful. Epicurus, a Stoic philosopher, said, "We're given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, so we can listen more than we talk." Listening doesn't mean taking in all the bad things people say. It means sorting through what's being said to find the useful parts among the noise. There are times when questions from negative people can make it hard to see clearly. It's important to stop and think. For the person you know who is always happy and smiling and quick to send an emoji in every message, they're the ones who tell you to cheer up when you're having a bad day, ignoring how you really feel with a wave of uncontrolled happiness. Think of your life as a garden. It has lovely flowers, but it also has weeds and bugs. The person who is always happy only wants to talk about the flowers. They say, "Plants have bugs. Look at the flowers." This person means well, but it can make you feel like your real feelings don't matter and that no one is seeing you. Let's say you're going through a hard breakup. It's like being on a roller ride of sadness, confusion, and trying to get back on your feet. Breakups are hard because they make you feel hurt, confused, and like you've lost something. During these times, advice from people who are too upbeat can seem out of touch. They might tell you, "There are lots more fish in the sea. Just be happy." There is some truth to that, but it doesn't take into account the real pain and battle you're going through. When you break up with someone, it can feel like you lose a part of yourself. Telling them to be happy won't help. This strong push for happiness doesn't take into account how complicated our feelings and life are. We need to deal with sadness, grief, and setbacks in life, as well as happiness. It's okay to feel these ways sometimes, and feeling bad about this only makes things worse. It's better to face our bad feelings, accept them, and think about what they can teach us than to try to hide them under a bunch of fake smiles. We can live a fuller, more honest life if we can find a balance between the good and the bad. How can you make sure your yard stays healthy without letting those constantly happy people drown it out? A chat that talks about both the good and the bad is one way. You could agree with the person who tells you to always look on the bright side, like, "At least you're healthy," but also say, "Yes, I'm thankful for my health, but it's still okay for me to be upset about this. I can appreciate my health and feel sad at the same time." Another idea is emotional granularity, which means naming the different feelings you have, both happy and sad. Saying something like, "Today, I'm feeling a bit down because of a certain reason, and that's perfectly fine," can help you understand and own your feelings when someone wants you to be only happy. True happiness comes from understanding our responsibilities and enjoying the moment without worrying too much about what's to come, said the Stoic philosopher Seneca. Note that he talks about a balance, understanding our responsibilities, which might not always be pleasant, while still finding joy in the now. Stoicism is not about ignoring the negative or only focused on the positive aspects of life. Rather, it is about taking all of life's experiences with calm. So take a step back when that person who is always happy starts tossing their happiness around all over your well-kept yard. Remember that a plant grows best when it gets both sun and rain. In the same way, we grow when we feel all of our feelings. Take care of your yard as much as you can and enjoy its depth and diversity. For that person, life is like chess. Everyone has the same pieces and wants to win. You think about what you'll do next. Sometimes you give up something, and other times you risk something. But someone who always feels like a victim puts the blame for their mistakes on the game, the chess pieces, or the other player. They believe that they always lose not because of the decisions they've made, but because of something else that is bent against them, making it seem like they can't get a break. They tell stories about how bad things always are for them. Like the pieces on a chessboard, we all have to deal with problems and make decisions. This chess game idea helps us see that. For a bigger goal, we need to plan ahead, give up things, and risk things. How successful people deal with failures and hard times sets them apart from those who see themselves as victims. When things don't go their way, victims often blame the game, the chess pieces, or the other person in general. They lie about what they did because they think someone or something outside of them is always to blame. This makes them feel like they can't win. But successful people know that life can be unpredictable and that some things are out of our control. They think about how to move on and make the best next step, though. You need to know that everyone has troubles and that things outside of our control can bring us down. What makes a difference is how we get back up and learn from our mistakes. You could become involved in their stories as the person who is always willing to listen. It's been hours since you last heard a friend say that their relationship problems are all because of their ex-partners. This takes a lot of your time and may make you think the same way about your own life. What should you do about someone close to you who always feels like a victim? Instead of giving them answers or always trying to fix their problems, it's sometimes better to ask them questions that make them think more about what's going on. Ask them things like, "What do you think you could change here?" Or, "How are you going to deal with this part of your life?" You can also show them you care and understand by not trying to fix all of their problems. Pay attention to what they have to say, but don't try to solve all of their problems. Epicurus, a wise old thinker, said, "The best way to get back at someone who has wronged you is to be nothing like them." If you find yourself becoming the victim, resist the urge to start thinking like them. Make your own choices and take care of your life. Remember that in life's chess game, feeling stuck is often a choice, not something that's set in stone. Don't stop going forward. Be smart about the choices you make, and don't forget or feel sorry for yourself. Instead, aim for growth and knowledge. Some people really do have to deal with tough problems and unfair situations. But the type of victim we're talking about here uses their problems as an excuse not to do anything about them or own up to their part in the problems. Sixth, the waste of time. You should think of your day as a well-planned piece of music with tasks for each note. Then the time machine comes in and plays all the wrong notes, messing up the tune you had carefully planned. People in this group always want your time and care, but don't give you anything in return. You may have a friend who starts pointless conversations all the time, which make you feel tired and off track. Or you may have a co-worker who is always bothering you with small things, which causes you to miss deadlines. Time wasters not only waste your time, but they also make it hard to concentrate, get things done, and stay calm. Set clear limits for people who waste your time if you want to deal with them well. They should know when you're ready to talk or meet, and when you need to be left alone to work. Make it clear that you value their time as much as you value yours. The things they want could also be changed to things that take less time. Let's say a friend always wants to talk on the phone for hours about nothing important. Tell them to text or email instead. It gives you back power over your time and keeps it from going to waste. We figure out how to better use our time and get things done by looking at a friend who often starts long, confusing phone calls. It will save you both time and make it easier to talk if you suggest that you use short, clear texts or emails instead. With this switch, you can talk whenever it's convenient for you. Messages will stay short and to the point, and you'll be able to return more quickly. It's also easier to talk about and work out specific things without having to have a long chat. That way, you'll both make better use of your time and get things done faster. Now you're in charge of your time again, and you can keep working in a smart and helpful way. Giving your friend a better way to stay in touch makes things better and easier for both of you. Being a Stoic tells us to know what we can and can't change. People who are time suckers try to take our time and attention away, but you can stay in charge if you set clear limits and plan how you spend your time. Stoic philosopher Seneca said that we waste a lot of time, not because we don't have enough of it. To get better at Stoicism and make yourself better, you should choose to spend time with people who help you grow and live by Stoic values. Number 7. The Controller. Picture your life as a movie, and you get to choose what happens, who helps you, and how the story ends. That person is like a sneaky director who changes your movie script in the background until you realize things aren't going as planned. They are very good at getting you to do what they want by lying, cutting you down, or playing with your emotions. One friend might always ask you to pay for dinner by telling you how hard things are for them. It would be awkward to say no because you'd feel like you're helping them out. Having to deal with someone who lies like this is hard. One way to deal with it is to hear what they have to say, but don't let it affect how you feel. Make it clear what you're okay with and stick to it. Don't give them the money or do anything else you don't want to do. Just say no and keep your cool. The Stoics teach us that we can't change what happens to us, but we can change how we respond to it. Criminals take advantage of the fact that you want to be nice, feel bad, or want other people to like you. You are in charge of your own story again when you choose to respond differently. Remember that you are in charge of your own story if you are dealing with a liar. Make sure that your decisions and beliefs guide your life. Don't let anyone change the course of your life. It's important to remember to care for yourself and honor your own needs in this busy world, full of things that can distract you and people who want to pull you in different ways. Being strong in your beliefs and not having other people control you are good for your mental health and help you connect with others in a way that is based on your values. So think of the things you do and the choices you make every day as writing in a book. People shouldn't mess up the story you want to tell. When things get hard, don't give up on your freedom or what you believe in. Keep writing your own story. Giving yourself power and making your life truly show who you are and what you want to do makes this possible. 8th, the person who always spends and treats themselves too much. To teach the value of balance, Stoicism says that getting more things doesn't always solve our problems, it just makes them worse. Seneca said that people who try to get too much pleasure are likely to hurt themselves. This could be an obsession with getting more things, eating too much, or doing too much of anything else that makes them lose control and make their lives a mess. Take the case of Tom. He loves to spend a lot of money, go to a lot of fancy parties, and eat at a lot of fancy restaurants. Tom is always looking for the next big buy or fancy meal that will make him happy. He spends a lot of money on things he doesn't need and tries to live a very high-class life. Tom is the person the Stoic told us to be careful of. He tries to get pleasure and happiness from having and collecting a lot, especially things and high-class experiences. He can't keep track of his money, time, or energy because of this. Stoicism tells us that self-control, balance, and living a decent life are more important than just seeking times and things that make us feel good. Stoic ideas are all about finding balance, being moderate, and putting spiritual ideals ahead of financial ones. They teach that the only way to be truly happy is to know your boundaries and choose to live a moral and self-disciplined life. Tom could live a more peaceful and satisfying life if he learned to enjoy the little things in life more and controlled his desire for more and more. Stoics say that being happy isn't about having everything, but about being happy with what you have and being aware of how your choices affect others. 9. The person who loves to talk about other people. It's very easy to talk and share news quickly these days, so talking is every day. Rumors are spread by people who don't care about whether or not they are true or how they might hurt others. When you hang out with them, they plant doubt and confusion in your life. Don't waste your time fighting about what makes a good person, just be one, Marcus Aurelius said. Being stoic means always seeking virtue and truth. You'll get off track if you listen to gossip. Not only should you avoid talking, but you should also stay away from people who don't value honesty and ethics. When someone spreads stories without checking the facts, be careful. Also, don't believe people who don't follow moral and honest ways. 10. The always negative person. Some people might find beauty in a dark sky, but pessimists only see rain coming. Their way of thinking is like a dark room with no windows to let in light. They only see the bad things that happen and miss the chances to grow that problems often bring. Marcus Aurelius says that we should let go of our grudges because that's when they lose their power over us. This shows how powerful viewpoint is and how we see and react to things can change our whole experience. Having a positive or at least fair view of things is important for Stoicism. We learn that what upsets our peace is not what happens to us, but how we see and respond to it. It's best to stay away from people who are full of negativity. Our relationships and bonds have a big impact on the course of our lives. Why let someone bring you down when things are going well, or make things worse when things are bad? 11. The vain hoper. This person always claims to do great things but doesn't follow through. They make you feel good about big plans or promises, but when it's time to follow through, they're not there or have a lot of reasons why they can't. When you trust them, they usually let you down and waste your time. When you try to grab a cloud, you can't. It's frustrating. Watch out for people whose deeds don't fit what they say, and be careful about what you expect from them and how much you trust them. 12. The friend who always says yes. This kind of friend always agrees with what you say and never challenges you. Having someone on your side all the time may seem nice, but it doesn't help you grow. It's hard to learn new things or see other ways of thinking when you're with someone who only states what you already believe. To really understand both parts of a story, you need to talk things out and even argue from time to time. When you have people who don't agree with you, you can talk about it without getting into trouble. This makes you think about what you believe and why. I can give you some advice. Get rid of these kinds of people right away. If you can't fix them, leave. Otherwise, they'll keep making your life hard in some way. You should be able to tell what's wrong with the people you hang out with after reading these points. Have you ever felt like you were always going against the flow of life, trying to find peace in the middle of chaos, and asking if there was a way to handle the storm with grace and strength? Let's pretend for a moment that you have a secret compass that takes you through life's rough seas and keeps you steady, calm, and resilient, no matter how high the waves get. Stoicism, my friends, is that guide. It is an old theory that has shown many people the way for hundreds of years, helping them find peace in chaos and knowledge in hardship. I'm going to get to the heart of Stoicism and talk about its deep insights and useful uses that can change your life, just like they did for Marcus Aurelius, one of the best rulers in history. Stoicism has timeless tools that can help you grow and find joy in the trip, not just the goal, whether you're going through personal or work problems or just want to live a more useful and happy life. Stay tuned, because in this video, we're not just learning about history, we're also learning the secrets to a better, more resilient you. If you're ready to learn how to turn your problems into strengths, your trials into victories, and your fears into wisdom, then stay tuned. Marcus Aurelius brought up a strong idea in Stoic philosophy, the thought that how we see things affects how they really are. It's not the events themselves that bother us, but how we think about them. This idea is at the heart of Stoicism, but it also has meanings in other intellectual and psychological systems. Take a look at what another famous Stoic philosopher, Epictetus, said. "It's not what happens to you that matters, but how you react to it." This quote reinforces the same idea. How we react to outside events shapes how we experience them. It's about using the freedom of choice we all have to shape how we see and react to things that happen in our lives. Now, think of a situation that looks bad at first glance. We might automatically think of it as bad or unfortunate. But what if we stopped and asked ourselves, is it really that bad? Is there another way to look at this? This moment of thought can help us see problems differently, turning them into chances to learn or grow instead of unbeatable problems. Aristotle, who was also a great philosopher in the West, talked about the golden mean, which is the ideal halfway point between two extremes, one of too much and one of not enough. Using this to describe how we see things, we find a middle ground between naive positivity and crushing pessimism. Training our perception is about finding this middle ground where we accept the truth of our situations without letting them control how we feel. Perspective is also an idea that has to do with psychology as well as philosophy. Carl Jung, a very smart psychologist, stressed how our thoughts and feelings can change our world. According to him, our inner world influences our outer world. So, training our minds to see the good, or at least the chance to grow in bad situations, changes not only how we feel inside, but also how we connect with the world around us. So, training your view is a responsible way to live your life. To choose to see the glass as half full, to find the good in every situation, even when things look bad. It's not about avoiding the bad or acting like problems don't exist. Instead, it's about being aware of them and choosing to focus on what we can learn, how we can grow, and where we can find even the smallest bit of progress or positive. Remember that training is something you do every day, just like exercising. Our awareness muscles get stronger as we train, allowing us to handle the ups and downs of life with more composure and resilience. We can live more satisfying and healthy lives no matter what happens if we take this Stoic attitude and add to it ideas from Western thought and psychology. Marcus Aurelius had a deep understanding of the chaos that can happen when feelings aren't under control. He tells us to follow our reason, which means that even when we're feeling strongly about something, we can choose how to react. These strong words tell us that we are in charge, not our passing emotions. Remember Marcus's advice the next time you feel angry or anxious. Take a moment, breathe deeply, and choose a reaction that is in line with your best self. But this idea isn't just found in Stoicism. Let's look at Seneca's point of view, who was also a Stoic philosopher. Seneca thought that controlling our feelings would make our lives more peaceful and satisfying. He told us to think about our feelings, figure out where they come from, and then choose the best way to deal with them. This thought helps us keep from being overwhelmed by how strong our feelings are. Plato stressed how important it is for reason to control our wild and repeating sides, like a charioteer managing his horses. He thought that our logical side should be in charge and keep our feelings and wants from getting in the way. This fits with the Stoic view, which says that we should act based on reason instead of emotion. Carl Jung understood the power of feelings and the need to understand them in order to combine and overcome them from a psychological point of view. He said that we can become our true selves through individuation, which means facing and understanding our feelings. As we become more self-aware, we can use our feelings as guides instead of orders, which helps us grow and change. Remember these quotes the next time you feel angry or anxious. Like Marcus Aurelius, use reason to judge the situation. Like Seneca, understand and think about your emotions. Like Aristotle, seek the golden mean by letting yourself feel without being controlled by those feelings. Like Plato, let your rational self be the charioteer. And like Carl Jung, use your emotions as a way to deeper self-understanding. You're not hiding your humanity when you control your feelings. You're actually making it stronger. You've chosen to answer, not just react. You are making sure that you are in charge, not your passing feelings. Taking charge of your feelings in this way lets you live with more purpose, making decisions that are in line with your values and goals. This leads to a more peaceful and satisfying life. Stoic philosophers, especially Epictetus, put a lot of weight on this difference. He taught that the key to being wise is to know what we can control and what we can't. It changes everything because it frees us from needless stress and worry about things we can't change, like the weather or other people's behavior. If you only focused on things you could change, you'd be like a farmer who waters his plants but doesn't try to change the weather. This is what the paradox of control is all about. Taking care of our yard, our inner selves, and our deeds while letting go of what happens in the outside world. Let us now connect this Stoic knowledge with ideas from Western psychology and philosophy. Focusing on good deeds and building a strong character, which is similar to what we can control, is what Aristotle said. He thought that being excellent wasn't something you do, but something you do every day by making a set of choices that you can control. Plato also said that it was important to think about our deeds and ideals. He used the metaphor of the chariot to show the soul as a charioteer who is trying to control two horses that stand for different parts of our minds. The lesson here is related to the two sides of control. We need to focus on steering our car wisely and knowing what we can control and what we just have to deal with. Socrates told us to work on ourselves and be good, which is similar to the Stoic approach of focusing on what we do and how we react. He famously said, "An unexamined life is not worth living." This makes us think about what we can control and helps us grow our inner yard. Carl Jung talked about individuation, which is the process of becoming self-aware and bringing the unconscious and the awareness together. The main idea behind this process is to figure out what we can change about ourselves and accept what we can't. This is similar to the idea of the dichotomy of power. So how can we use this idea of transformation in our everyday lives? It all starts with a simple but deep change in how you see things. When something is making you mad, ask yourself, is this something I can control? If the answer is no, let it go like leaves in a river. Pay attention to and put your energy into things you can change, like how you feel, how hard you work, or how you react to other people. Accepting that life is unpredictable with peace does not mean being idle or uninterested. It means doing what you can to change things and being calm about the things you can't. Lesson 4. Choose to be good. This method not only lowers your stress and anxiety, but it also gives you the tools to live a more purposeful and useful life. This concept is more than just about improving yourself. It affects how we connect with and contribute to the world around us. Building a character of goodness, justice, bravery, and balance is what it's all about. These are traits that are very important in Stoic philosophy and in Western psychology in general. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus were all Stoics who believed that virtue was the best thing that could happen. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about traits like knowledge, justice, courage, and self-discipline in his meditations. He thought these were the most important parts of a good life. He and other Stoics didn't see virtue as a hypothetical ideal. Instead, they saw it as a way to live their daily lives in a way that was in line with their best selves. Seneca talked about how virtue can help you get through hard times. He said that living a good life brings peace and freedom from pain, not because a good person is immune to problems, but rather because they deal with them with grace and resilience. But Epictetus went even further and said that the whole point of being human is to live in a way that is good. He taught that we can't change the things that happen to us outside of our control, but we can always choose to act in a good way, which is within our control. Now, we find a common thread between these Stoic ideas and larger intellectual and psychological ideas. Aristotle said that virtue is the middle ground between two extremes. He pushed for balance and moderation in all parts of life. His Nicomachean Ethics lays out a plan for finding happiness through living a good life. It stresses that virtue is a choice we make and a habit we form by practicing it regularly. Like Aristotle, Plato's philosophy was based on the idea of living in harmony with what is good, true, and beautiful. He imagined a fair society where everyone did what they were supposed to do and contributed to the peace of the whole. The most famous philosopher in Western history, Socrates, thought that virtue and knowledge are linked, which means that to know what is good is to do it. His logical method was meant to unearth the truth and guide people toward a good and wise life. To understand individuation from a psychological point of view, we need to combine different parts of ourselves so that we have a complete and healthy identity. As part of this process, moral traits are formed and ideals are lived out. This shows that a person's actions are deeply in line with their true nature. How can we live a good life in our daily lives? It starts with thought and purpose. Think about what you do and how you make decisions through the lens of virtue. Ask yourself, is this fair? Is this brave? Is this moderate? Am I contributing to the good? By constantly asking ourselves these questions and basing our actions on them, we can create a life with great meaning and purpose. Virtue isn't just something you have, it's something you give to those around you. When we do good things, we inspire others, make our neighborhoods better, and help make the world a better place for everyone. Being good in this way makes not only our own lives better, but also society as a whole better. Remember that being virtues doesn't mean being perfect. It means trying, growing, and doing our best to make sure our actions are in line with our greatest goals. Every choice based on virtue is a step toward a more satisfying and enjoyable life on this path that lasts a lifetime. This way of thinking doesn't downplay our problems. Instead, it puts them in their proper context, giving us a better, more balanced picture that can greatly reduce our stress and make us appreciate life more. Marcus Aurelius often thought about how life changes quickly and how important it is to look at our events in the bigger picture. He helps us become more resilient and calm by asking us to think about how our present fears will affect us in the long run. This Stoic practice helps us tell the difference between small problems and big ones, and it encourages us to use our energy and feelings carefully. Seneca agreed with this idea and told us to look at life as a whole and realize that our problems only last a short time. We were told to live each day as if it were our whole life. This way of thinking gives our daily lives meaning and peace. Epictetus taught that our problems are often caused by how we think about things, not by the things themselves. By looking at things from different angles, we can fight these judgments, feel less pain, and become more peaceful. Now let's add some ideas from Western thought. Aristotle said it was important to live a healthy life with worthwhile goals and a mind that is led by reason. This is similar to the idea of expanding your view to find what is truly valuable. Through the metaphor of the cave, Plato asked us to think about what we think we know and what truths are bigger than our own experiences. This philosophical look at things makes us want to go deeper and find more knowledge and understanding. Socrates wanted the people around him to think about things from different points of view and find deeper truths. His way is a constant lesson of how important it is to look at our lives and see things from different points of view. In Carl Jung's psychology view, individuation means bringing together different parts of our awareness. This makes us see beyond our immediate ego-driven worries and toward a more complete understanding of who we are and our place in the world. So how can we use this broad view in our everyday lives? When stress or fear gets the best of you, stop and ask yourself what Marcus Aurelius might have asked. Will this matter in the long run? What will happen a year from now, or even 5 years from now? This kind of thought can help you change your focus in a big way, lowering your stress and making you value the present moment more. we can feel less anxious and more connected to a deeper sense of thanks and presence when we look at things from a bigger picture. We learn to appreciate the short-lived beauty of each moment and realize that our problems are but small threads in the fabric of life. When you broaden your viewpoint, you see beyond your immediate worries, you realize that your problems are temporary, and you match yourself with the steady flow of life. It's a practice that not only promotes inner peace, but also strengthens our ties to the outside world and promotes a more caring and understanding perspective on human experience. Imagine being able to find inner peace and happiness no matter what was going on around you, in a world that is always trying to tell us how we should feel, think, and act. What you said is not only strong, it's also new. It's not about taking charge of the world, but of our own minds, which is much more important and much easier to do. Stoicism teaches us resilience, thanks, and how to live a happy life. But this isn't just about past. It's about you and your life now. In today's world, there is a lot of chaos, but you can still keep your cool. It's about being happy in the little things and staying calm when things get rough. It's about turning your dreaded mornings into a powerful way to start a day full of meaning and happiness. Let's look at some tough techniques that can help us create not only a morning habit, but also a life full of purpose, resilience, and genuine happiness. Please watch this video with full attention from beginning to end. You're not like everyone else if you made it here. You're someone who wants to learn more and grow. Your determination to fully understand this material makes you stand out even more. There's a beautiful, easy idea from Japan that goes along with this word that might sound fancy. You need to find the place where your interests, skills, the needs of society, and what you can be paid for all meet. It's the only reason you exist. Imagine waking up every morning with a clear goal that makes you excited, something that makes the idea of hitting the snooze button pointless. Marcus Aurelius wasn't just religious about keeping a stiff upper lip when life gets hard. He really believed that we're all here to make a difference and offer something important. Every day, he told us, should be seen as a chance to do our job with honesty and energy. Now think about what that means in terms of ikigai. You need to find what you love and make sure it fits with what the world needs and what you're good at. That's where the magic takes place. But how do you begin to find your ikigai? It starts with some self-reflection. Ask yourself, what do I really care about? What do I do well? What do people need from me? How can I get paid? You don't have to find the answers right away. This is about the trip, looking into different parts of your life and hobbies and seeing where they come together. The search for your ikigai isn't just a fluffy exercise to make you feel good. It's about building a life full of meaning and happiness. When you connect the things you do every day to your bigger meaning, even the little things become important. Your relationships start to grow because you're more present and involved. Your imagination soars because you're following your real hobbies. And happiness, well, it's more like a steady visitor than a short-term guest. Take a moment to think about what ikigai means to you as you set your alarm for tomorrow morning. Anything that would make you want to get out of bed and start the day. Remember that this won't happen overnight. It's a process that will happen slowly over time. As Marcus Aurelius said, it's about working hard every day with honor and commitment. Finding your ikigai isn't just about being happy with your life. It's also about recognizing your place in the bigger picture of life and adding your own unique thread to the story of how people change over time. The ancient Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius, believed that our actions should have a reason. They didn't think that we should just do things without thinking about them. Instead, they thought that we should take steps that are led by our inner sense. This way of thinking fits perfectly with how we get ready for the next day, beginning the night before. Here's the deal. How you spend your evening determines how good your morning will be. You might want to watch all of your favorite shows in one sitting or scroll through social media until your eyes hurt. But think about how that will affect your day tomorrow. Your brain needs time to relax. Think about what happened and get ready for the next day. That's why a good routine before bed is important. Think about treating your evening routine with the same care and respect that you would any other important part of your life. It's not about being so strict with yourself that your evenings aren't fun. It's about making a place that supports your health and fits with your plans for the next day. For example, limiting computer time an hour before bed isn't a way to avoid relaxing. It's a way to tell your mind it's time to wind down, which will help you fall asleep and feel better when you wake up. Making some plans for tomorrow can also make a difference. Writing down your top 3 goals for tomorrow could be all it takes. This gives you a clear sense of direction and makes sure you wake up with a purpose. One of the best things about the Stoic way of thinking is that it helps us see what we can control and let go of what we can't. There are some things about our day that we can't change, but we can change how we start it. Also, don't forget to meditate or take deep breaths to calm down. You shouldn't just do this for fun. It's a powerful way to tell your body it's time to rest. Deep breathing and slow exhalation can help you feel less stressed, slow down your heart rate, and get your body ready for a good night's sleep. It's like hitting the reset button, making sure that when you wake up, you're not only physically refreshed, but also mentally and emotionally. This may seem like a huge job in today's always-on world, but it's essential for setting the tone for your whole day. Picture this: the first few minutes of your morning when you're not interrupted by emails, social media alerts, or the news. You, your thoughts, and the peaceful silence of dawn. That's not only nice, it gives me strength. Marcus Aurelius made a strong case for life with purpose and attention. The alerts of old Rome didn't bother him, and believe me, he had plenty of other things to do. Instead, he stressed how important it was to focus on the job at hand and the current time. Still true today, what he knew is that the quality of your attention decides the quality of your life. So, how can we use this old knowledge in the present day? First, it's about making a place in the morning that is purposely free of electronic distractions. You don't have to avoid technology, but you can choose not to let it control how you start your day. It's tempting to roll over and check your phone right away, but that puts you right into a reactive state where you have to deal with the problems and expectations of the outside world. Instead, start your day peacefully. Imagine spending the first hour of your day doing things that make you feel good and help you think clearly. It could be reading, relaxing, writing in a diary, or just sitting with a coffee and looking out the window. This isn't a waste of time, it's an investment in your health. Staying away from distractions not only keeps you from getting stressed, but it also builds a reserve of peace and focus that you can use all day. If you want to get more done in the morning, don't add more things to your list. Instead, get rid of the noise that doesn't help you. It's about putting what's important first before the demands of the day start to pull at your attention. This is where the Stoic practice of concentrating on what you can change comes in handy. The flood of emails you have to read might not be under your control, but you can choose when and how to read them. That's why you should push yourself to start the day the way you want to. Do not give in to the urge to go online right away. Instead, stay in the present and enjoy the peace and possibilities that the morning brings. Remember that each day is a chance to live your life with more purpose, peace, and in line with who you want to be. Let's make our mornings a reflection of that goal, led by the ancient advice of Stoicism and a constant focus on what's important. Stoicism is based on the idea that we should know what we can manage and act with virtue and purpose in those areas. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus weren't just talking about keeping a stiff upper lip during hard times. They were also pushing for us to be involved in life and take responsibility for our actions and thoughts. Consistently getting up is a habit that lives up to this idea. It's a statement that we are in charge of how we start the day and not letting outside forces or whims direct us. Stoicism says that you should build your life one step at a time, being happy with every action. This is a strong idea. It helps us remember that small, steady steps lead to big changes. Some people think that getting up at the same time every day is a small thing, but it's a very important habit that builds on everything else. Setting up a stable base for your day so that you're not in a hurry as soon as you wake up, but instead feel in charge and on purpose from the start. But here's the thing, being consistent is hard. It should be that way. Sometimes it seems impossible to wake up at the same time every morning in the beginning. You might want to hit the snooze button just one more time because your bed feels so much more comfortable than ever. And this is where the Stoic practice of sticking with something comes in. You need to keep telling yourself why you're doing this and how this practice is making you a better person. It means looking past the short-term comfort and focusing on the good things this habit will do for you in the long run. Then, developing the traits that make you resilient, focused, and deliberate throughout the day is the key to becoming a morning person. It's a way to get better at controlling yourself, making sure your actions are in line with your ideals, and building the life you want to live, one morning at a time. How then can we make uniformity work for us? Set a clear goal for the next day the night before. Think about why it's important to you to get up at a certain time. Do you want to have more quiet time in the morning to read or think? Do you want to work out or just start your day in a more calm and collected way? Then, make a setting that helps you keep up this habit. You could go to bed a little earlier to make sure you get enough sleep, or you could leave your curtains a little open so that natural light wakes you up slowly. When things get tough, remember that Stoics believed in the strength of our own will and how important it is to follow our values. Getting up at the time you choose every morning is more than just the start of the day. It's a promise to yourself, your growth, and living a life with meaning and purpose. It's important to remember one thing amidst all the talk of control, regularity, and rising with the sun. We're human, and being human means that our brains are very complicated and often choose the easiest way out, the road that gives us quick satisfaction. This is exactly why starting new habits, like changing the way we spend our mornings, can feel like a fight at first. In spite of this, recognizing this fact is very freeing. There's nothing wrong with it, it's just how people are. Let us now bring some Stoicism to this idea. Along with encouraging discipline and resilience, Stoicism shows us the value of self-compassion and understanding. Marcus Aurelius often told himself in his private works to be patient and forgiving with himself when he made mistakes. He knew that scolding himself for every mistake wasn't going to help him grow. He instead said, we should admit when we're wrong, learn from it, and then let it go. This way of doing things is very important when we're trying to form new habits, like morning routines. It can be hard the first few days or even weeks. When your alarm goes off, you want to stay in bed as much as possible. And let's be honest, you'll give in to that urge some days. Okay, that's fine. What you do next is very important. Are you hard on yourself and find yourself stuck in a loop of guilt and criticism? Do you take a deep breath, forgive yourself, and decide that tomorrow is a new day to try again? Being patient and forgiving with ourselves is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of power and knowledge. They mean we're ready to handle the ups and downs with grace because we're in it for the long haul. Self-compassion is a Stoic practice that helps us understand our nature, work with it, and gently push ourselves toward the habits and life we want. Also, taking it easy doesn't mean making excuses or letting ourselves always fail to reach our goals. Being aware that progress is a process with learning curves and failures is important. Being aware that every day brings fresh problems and chances is what this quote is about. We find our strength and resilience in this daily rebirth. Don't be too hard on yourself as you try to get used to getting up early or any other new habit. Always be ready to try again. Remember the lessons you've learned from failures and enjoy the little wins. It's not enough to just get up early. You need to grow an attitude that's ready to face life's difficulties with a mix of kindness and drive. Just move your alarm clock across the room to see what I mean. Not only is it making it harder to sleep, but it's also a message. It means deciding to start the day on your own terms, even if it means getting out of bed. This is a small thing you can do to fight the pull of sleep and ease and start the day with purpose. In the same way, making your bed every morning might not seem important if you're the only one who will see it. But it's not just making the sheets smooth and the pillows fluffy. As you do it, remind yourself that your surroundings and how you interact with it are important. It's about making a place that shows the order and respect you're working on inside yourself. I think Marcus Aurelius would say that these little wins are what make an ordered life possible. They are the small decisions we make every day that, though easy to forget, shape who we are over time. All of these little things you do say something about the kind of person you want to be. You have chosen to be someone who values order, control, and respect for oneself and one's surroundings. But why pay attention to these little things, since they're easy for everyone to get to? Some of us can't change the big things that happen in our lives, the shifts and turns we didn't see coming. But we have power over how we react to the start of each day, how we treat those around us, and how we get ready for the day ahead. This is Stoicism in action, focused on what we can change and letting go of what we can't. Also, these habits aren't just meant to build discipline for the sake of discipline. They're meant to help you develop an attitude that's ready for the bigger difficulties in life. You can train yourself to keep your promises in bigger areas if you can stick to these small acts of control. To become more like the Stoic ideal, you need to be able to stick to your plans, stay strong when things go wrong, and approach life with a calm, controlled attitude. Start small as you think about how discipline can help you. Look for those everyday chances to be more in control and follow the rules. Remember that these are the times when your character is formed, when you wake up in the quiet of the morning and decide to face the day with purpose. You don't just do these things because you have to. They're routines that give your day and life direction and meaning. The idea behind this is simple but very powerful. Telling someone your goals who will both support you and hold you responsible can greatly increase your chances of success. It turns a personal trip into a shared adventure, which makes the way to completing your morning routine and, eventually, your life's mission less difficult and more fun. Think of your accountability partner as someone who wants to help you get better. This person will tell you of your obligations when you don't want to leave the comfort of your bed in the middle of the night. They are there to cheer you on when things don't seem to be going well, and to celebrate your wins, no matter how small. This relationship works both ways. It's based on the idea that we're all trying to be the best versions of ourselves and wants to support and encourage each other. Stoics like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus often talk about how society and connections are important for building character and morality. They believed that sharing knowledge and learning from each other could be powerful. They also believed that knowing you're not alone in your problems could make you stronger. Today, finding an accountability partner is a nod to this old advice, realizing that the path to self-discipline and purpose is personal, but it doesn't have to be done alone. A person who holds you accountable can also help you see holes in your habit or way of doing things that you might not see on your own. They might give you fresh ideas and views that can help you grow in ways you didn't expect. It's not enough for this partnership to just check in to see if you got up on time or finished your morning exercises. It's about helping each other grow and being encouraged. So, if you want to change your mornings and your life, you might want to find an accountability partner to help you. You'll be powerful if you work together. It's about having a deep conversation about what's working and what's not, as well as how you can both help each other make changes. How do you find someone to hold you accountable? Find someone who wants to grow and improve themselves as much as you do. This person could be a family member, a friend, or even a co-worker. Pick someone you can be open and honest with about your goals, problems, and achievements. You should be clear about what you want to achieve and what kind of help you need once you've found that person. Check in with each other often and be there for each other, giving each other support, advice, and, if needed, a light push back on track. Remember that finding an accountability partner isn't just about getting push from other people. It's about making a connection that makes both of you feel good. It's about making a place where being honest, open, and helping each other are valued and encouraged. Your morning habits and bigger life goals become connected in this space as a group effort to live a more purposeful, focused, and satisfying life. Stoics believe that thinking about death is a wake-up call that makes us want to live our lives with meaning. It reminds us not to waste time on pointless things and to focus on leaving a lasting memory. As soon as we wake up in the morning, we have a new chance to connect with life in a useful way, to make the world a better place, and to seek personal growth and satisfaction. It was common for Marcus Aurelius to write in his thoughts about how short life is and how important it is to be good and make the most of the time we have. This wasn't meant to be a sad thought. Instead, it was a freeing understanding that took his mind off of small things and let him focus on his tasks as ruler and as a good person. The idea is that if we keep the end in mind, we're more likely to live our lives with purpose and focus, putting the people and things that really matter first. When we think about death during our morning routines, it changes how we start each day. We were given this day, which isn't promised to anyone else. It's not just another day. Realizing this can have a big effect on how we spend our time, the things we do, the people we care about, and the memory we want to leave behind. It tells us to love deeply, live fully, and leave the world a little better than we found it. This Stoic practice also helps us keep things in perspective when life throws us problems and setbacks. Things that bother us and get in the way every day lose a lot of their power over us when we remember that time is limited. We become more resilient, more focused on our long-term goals, and less likely to let short-term problems upset us. It makes us more appreciative of the present and encourages us to make the most of it. How can we use this Stoic concept in our everyday lives? Every morning, it starts with a moment of thought. Think of the day ahead as a blank slate, a chance to make your life and the lives of those around you better. Think about this. If today were my last, would I be happy with how I spent it? This doesn't mean having a spiritual crisis all the time. Instead, it means learning to deeply value the present moment and the chance to live, learn, and love. When we remember death in the way that the Stoics do, we're not thinking about the end, but about the present and how we choose to live each day. It's a strong way to fight laziness and a lesson to live our lives with purpose, meaning, and thanks. As we wake up each day, let's remember that it's a gift and a chance to make our lives meaningful and in line with our core values. This is what it means to live stoically and make the most of our short time here to leave a lasting memory. People often tell us to think about the good things in our lives and picture ourselves being successful and happy. But the Stoics, with their deep knowledge, offer a different point of view that is both useful and very powerful. Negative vision is a tool for resilience, planning, and, eventually, better awareness of the present. The main idea behind this practice is to think about the problems, losses, or challenges you might face in the future. This could be something as small as missing the bus or having a wet day, or it could be something much worse, like losing a job or a loved one. You shouldn't think about these events in a way that makes you scared or anxious. Instead, you should think about how you would handle them if they happened. When you visualize, you mentally and emotionally get ready. This makes you less likely to get off track when life's ups and downs happen. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus all thought that by focusing on how transient everything is, we could develop greater peace and resilience. This practice helps us pay attention to the things we can change, like how we react, how we think, and what we do. Making negative visualizing a part of your morning habit can change how you start your day. You don't have to go out the door without thinking about the problems that might come up. You're ready to face them. I like to think of it as mental exercise that helps you build resilience so that when life throws you a surprise, you're not caught off guard. You have already practiced this moment in your mind, so you can use the plans you made to get through it. This practice also has a beautiful, if slightly strange, result. It makes us more thankful for the present. When we imagine not having some of the things we take for granted, we value them more when we return to the real world. We should be thankful for all the good things in our lives right now. We shouldn't live in fear of losing something. Instead, we should use the thought of it to appreciate the present moment more. How then can we use negative vision in a good, healthy way? Take a few minutes in the morning to think about the problems you might face that day, or the bigger picture of what the future might hold. Think about how you should react, what skills you should use, what lessons you could learn, and how the experience could help you grow. Following the image, let go and go about your day, feeling more prepared and grateful for the things that are happening to you right now. Adding thanks to our daily lives, especially at the end of the day, can completely change our mood and wellness. Keeping a gratitude book is a very easy but very powerful way to develop this attitude of thankfulness. It means taking a moment to think about the day and write down a few things we're thankful for before going to sleep. Something like a nice act from a stranger, a stunning sunset, finishing a hard job, or just the warmth of our bed waiting for us at the end of a long day could be this. Writing down what we're thankful for takes our attention off of what we don't have and puts it on the things we do have. Stoic teachings say that we should focus on what we have instead of what we don't have, and what we can control instead of what we can't control. This practice fits in nicely with those teachings. This change in perspective not only prepares us for a restful night's sleep, free from the stress of unmet wants or leftover anger, but it also gets our thoughts ready to start the next day with a sense of purpose and gratitude. But why be thankful at the end of the day? Because it helps us end the day on a positive note, no matter what problems we may have had all day. It helps us remember the good things in our lives, find peace even when things are going badly, and keep a mindset that sees growth and happiness in every situation. Expressing thanks every night has a domino effect that changes not only how we sleep, but also how we wake up and handle our mornings. When we wake up, our first thoughts aren't grumbling about the alarm clock, but about what the day will bring and what new things we might find to be thankful for. Also, this practice of being grateful for our lives goes beyond our own lives. It makes our relationships better because we become more aware of how valuable the people around us are and more vocal about how grateful we are to have them in our lives. It makes us feel more connected to the world because we notice and appreciate the beauty and wonder around us more, even in the most ordinary things. As we think about the many ways to make our mornings better, and by extension, our lives better, let's not forget how powerful it is to end the day with thanks. The Stoic desire of a good life is reflected in this practice. a life marked not by accomplishments or material things, but by inner peace, happiness, and a deep respect for the present moment. As I come to the end of this trip through the 10 Stoic strategies, it's clear that each step and practice is more than just a job. It's a way to build a life of purpose, resilience, and deep thanks. Don't get me wrong, if you do these things, not every day will be perfect, but every day you will be better, more grateful, and more resilient. Not only can you change your mornings, but you can change your whole life to reflect the Stoic ideas of virtue, knowledge, and happiness. Remember that this is only the beginning. There is a lot more Stoic advice out there for you to discover and use to live a more worthwhile and satisfying life. Stoics once said, "Strong minds suffer without complaining, while weak minds complain without suffering." Everyone has to go through pain at some point, so the question is not whether or not someone will hurt, but how they choose to deal with it. Choosing to complain about your situation is a choice that, instead of making your pain go away, makes it worse. So the Stoics put up with suffering with grace, because the strongest values are formed in pain and suffering. So putting up with suffering without complaining is not just a way to deal with it, it's a way to get stronger, smarter, and more powerful in the end. Lesson 1. Perception and inner strength. Life is like a play where the outside and inside worlds meet, and we get caught up in the drama of connection and feeling. Stoic philosophers, who had a deep understanding of how people work, teach us that what makes us suffer is not the things that happen, but how we think about them. It was Marcus Aurelius, a wise man who lived long ago, who said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." This is not just a call to passive acceptance, it is a strong statement that we have control over our own inner state. Before we can handle the rough waters of relationships and the inevitable death of loved ones, we need to be sure that our views shape our reality. The pain of loss, the sting of betrayal, and the shadow of loneliness are all really just mirrors of what we're saying to ourselves. Because we can choose to see the lessons in the loss and the growth in the sadness, we can change how we feel about these things. This change isn't a rejection of pain, it's an acceptance of it as a way to grow. Aurelius tells us to look inside ourselves, to find power in our ability to change how we see things, to separate ourselves from things we can't change, and to find comfort in the walls of our minds. This lesson asks us to work on the skill of awareness and to think about the stories we tell ourselves about our feelings and ties. We find freedom in asking questions. Taking a Stoic view of our inner stories helps us build resilience that can't be broken by life's ups and downs. This resilience gives us the knowledge to feel our feelings without letting them control us. Not that it makes us emotionless. It tells us that we have an unstoppable power inside us, the power to choose how to react, what to think, and whether to choose the peace of our inner fortress or the chaos of the outside world. Viewed through the view of Stoicism, we can begin to understand that letting go is not about cutting ties or forgetting things, but about changing how we relate to our feelings and connections. The heavy weight of loss is turned into the gold of knowledge through a process called alchemy. Let us keep this lesson in mind as we learn more about Stoic philosophy. It will help us see the way through the dark times and remember us that the key to freedom is not changing our surroundings, but changing ourselves. Lesson 2. Use logic when you're feeling emotional. Our minds are the stage where the conflict between reason and feeling plays out in the big story of our lives. It often determines the course of our relationships and how we deal with the death of loved ones. Stoicism, which focuses on reason, can help us deal with the overwhelming waves of feelings that sometimes come over us. Marcus Aurelius, a great example of Stoic thought, tells us to use reason as our compass to stay calm and steady during the storm. We can figure out what our ties are really about by using logic to separate what we can control from what we can't. This lesson goes into detail about how accepting reason can change us and help us deal with our inner feelings and the truth of loss with peace and grace. According to the Stoics, being rational doesn't mean hiding your feelings. It means balancing them with your thoughts. It means looking at our thoughts with a critical eye, asking whether our instant emotions are true, and taking a look at things from a bigger picture. When we're hurting from a broken relationship or the death of a loved one, our first reaction might be to give up or get angry. Using logic, on the other hand, helps us see these events not only as causes of pain, but also as chances to learn and grow. Aurelius tells us to ask ourselves, is this within my control? This easy question helps us focus on how we will deal with loss instead of the loss itself. This is a big change that takes us from being victims to having control over our emotions. It gives us the power to move through our emotional landscapes with knowledge and purpose, helping us stay sane when our emotions are upsetting. Keeping your cool when you're feeling crazy is a deliberate and often difficult process. It calls for us to take a moment to notice our thoughts and feelings and interact with them with mindfulness. Practicing this is like taking care of a yard. Reason helps us cut back on the growth of nonsensical thoughts and grow the seeds of peace and acceptance. When we think about how relationships end and how we will always lose people, logic tells us to accept these truths not with resignation, but with a deep understanding of how life works. Loss teaches us to treasure the time we spend with our loved ones, to let go with love instead of anger, and to find peace in the knowledge that loss doesn't make us less able to love and connect, but rather makes us more able to do so. When we look at things through the lens of reason, we can see that every ending is part of the beautiful cycle of life. This helps us find deep and lasting peace in our own minds. The Stoic virtue of acceptance is covered in Lesson 3. Acceptance is a key part of Stoic thought because it helps people find peace in the difficult times of loss and the complicated relationships in their lives. Because they had such a deep understanding of how life works, the Stoics say that we should accept what we can't change. This lesson looks at the Stoic virtue of acceptance, which is not a passive submission, but an active understanding of how things change over time. By learning and putting this concept into practice, we can deal with the end of relationships and the changes that will inevitably happen in our lives with peace of mind and a clear mind. We can find strength in giving up and wisdom in realizing that everything changes. Accepting change and loss is at the heart of Stoic acceptance. Realizing that everything is temporary includes our relationships and the people we care about largest. As Marcus Aurelius says, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. This powerful thought about death tells us to live with purpose, appreciating each moment and relationship because we know they may not last. Acceptance helps us let go of the end of a relationship or the death of a loved one with grace, valuing the short-lived beauty of the times we shared instead of holding on to them with sadness. This practice doesn't make us less able to love or be happy. Instead, it makes us value them more, which makes every interaction and experience more valuable. The way to inner peace is through Stoic acceptance. We learn to tell the difference between what we can control, like our actions, reactions, and moods, and what we can't, like other people's actions, time passing, and death. We can stay calm in the face of life's risks by spending our energy on the things we can change. Acceptance gives us strength, allowing us to deal with difficulties with a calm mind and a resilient spirit. Grief, sadness, joy, and love are just some of the feelings we can feel without being swamped by them. When we accept what is, we find deep freedom. We are free to live in the present, love without attachment, and go through life's challenges with an open and wise heart. Stoic philosophy on dealing with difficulties is covered in Lesson 4. Having problems is a normal part of being human. They test our willpower and see how strong we are. Stoicism tells us to deal with problems in a brave and smart way, seeing problems as chances to learn and grow. When things go wrong, like when you lose a relationship or are going through a lot of mental upheaval, the Stoic concept of turning problems into benefits really shines through. This way of thinking pushes us to see each challenge not as a hurdle to our happiness or success, but as a chance to practice resilience, patience, and fortitude. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." By taking this viewpoint, we learn to accept the underlying ambiguity and difficulty of life and use our problems as stepping stones to grow more self-reliant and inner fortitude. Stoic resilience is not about hiding our feelings. It is about letting them out and knowing that we have the power to keep going. As we go through our losses, we build a strong spirit that can handle the ups and downs of life and find peace in the middle of chaos. When we follow the Stoic practice of meeting problems with courage and knowledge, we not only get past them, but we also come out of them stronger and wiser. This Stoic lesson tells us that the hardest times can also be the ones that help us grow the most, making us people with kindness, depth, and resilience. Developing character in daily life is the fifth lesson. Stoic thought is based on virtue, which is like a lighthouse that helps us find our way through life's many challenges. True happiness and resilience can be found in the development of virtues like knowledge, courage, justice, and moderation. According to Stoicism, living with wisdom is more than just learning new things. It also means using logic in our daily lives. It means being smart enough to pick activities that are good for us, nature, and the world around us. Wisdom tells us to look at relationships and loss with the goal of learning and growing. We learn to ask, "What can this situation teach me?" instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" When we see problems as lessons, we let the power of knowledge change us and go through life's trials with a sense of purpose. Being wise also helps us see that feelings and ties are temporary, so we can enjoy the times and relationships we have without holding on to them out of fear or desire. In Stoicism, being brave means more than just avoiding physical harm. It also means having the moral strength to stick to our beliefs even when things go wrong or people put pressure on us. It means being brave enough to let go of relationships that aren't good for us anymore, or to deal with the pain of loss without forgetting how much joy and love we have inside us. This trait goes hand in hand with sobriety, which means being moderate in all parts of your life. When we live with confidence and moderation, we make choices that are in line with our values instead of giving in to short-term wants or avoiding pain. Temperance teaches us how to keep our feelings in check so that we can fully experience them without being swept away by them. Because of this, it pushes us to control our emotions and be calm when life goes up and down. By developing these traits, we not only improve our own health and happiness, but we also help those around us stay healthy and happy. Lesson 6. Stoicism and letting go of attachments. Stoicism teaches us how to be detached, which means letting go of our attachments to things and events outside of our control. This lesson goes into detail about the Stoic method of letting go of things we can't change and putting our inner strength and resilience first. Understanding detachment. Stoic detachment is not about not caring or holding back wants. It's about realizing that things and relationships outside of yourself are temporary. Epictetus and other Stoics stressed how important it is to know the difference between what we can control, like our thoughts, plans and actions, and what we can't, like other people's behavior, material things, and even our own lives. By internalizing this difference, we learn to spend our time and feelings more wisely, which helps us reach a state of inner peace and happiness that is hard to upset by outside events. We can deal with life's problems and losses with peace of mind when we have this kind of distance. We can accept the ups and downs of living without letting our wants control us. It teaches us to value and enjoy what we have while also being ready to let go when the time is right. Finding freedom in accepting change. Adopting Stoic detachment, putting Stoic detachment into our daily lives, means consciously re-evaluating our ties and how much we value things that are outside of us. Mindfulness and the desire to question our natural reactions and ideas about what makes us happy are required. You can start this practice with small steps, like thinking about how much we depend on material things or how we respond to praise and criticism. By slowly questioning these ties, we start to loosen their grip on us, which leads to a more peaceful and free life. Stoic detachment also tells us to focus on growing as people and developing virtue, which are the real sources of long-lasting happiness. We build a strong character that can handle life's uncertainties as we let go of our bonds to the outside world. By letting go of things we can't change, we can feel more grateful and present, able to fully enjoy life as it happens, moment by moment, without having to hold on to things we can't change. Stoicism teaches us that letting go of ties is the way to inner freedom and resilience. We can be in tune with the natural order of the world and accept change and impermanence with grace when we practice detachment. We are told in this lesson to draw power from our good qualities and to live with an open heart, ready for whatever life throws at us. Lesson 7. Being strong while dealing with loss and letting go of ties. Stoicism is a strong way to deal with loss and the process of letting go of ties. This lesson looks at how Stoic ideas can help us deal with the pain of loss and the difficulty of letting go, leading to healing and inner peace. The silent way of dealing with sadness. Grief is a normal reaction to loss, but it can be too much for some people, leaving them feeling lost and open to harm. Stoicism teaches us to accept sadness as a normal part of being human. This helps us deal with our pain in a kind and thoughtful way. Stoic advice, which was pushed by philosophers like Seneca, says we should face our feelings head-on, recognizing the pain of loss, while also remembering that everything changes. Accepting our feelings doesn't mean hiding them. It means letting sadness happen to us without letting it define us. Stoics believe that we should have a fair view of loyalty and loss. They know that love and relationships make our lives better, but they also believe that our final happiness shouldn't rest on other people or things. We can grieve the death of a loved one or the end of a relationship while keeping composure and resilience if we adopt this perspective. Letting go of ties. Stoicism teaches us to form attachments with care so we can enjoy the people and things in our lives without relying too much on them to make us happy. This view helps us deal with the pain of loss or separation by letting us know that our core self, our ability to be good, think clearly, and make choices, remains the same no matter what changes happen around us. The act of letting go is also the act of being very thankful. We can live a happy and grateful life by focusing on the present and appreciating our experiences without holding on to them. Stoic mindfulness exercises, like considering how fleeting life is and picturing losing the things we value, can boost our emotional resilience and get us ready to handle loss with grace. Following Stoic principles when we are grieving or attached forces us to find power within, realizing that our ability to be happy, love, and peaceful doesn't depend on what's going on around us. Let us take forward the lessons we learned about dealing with loss and letting go of ties as we continue to study Stoicism. This will help us live a life marked by deep emotional resilience and a deep respect for the present moment. The virtues of moderation and composure are covered in Lesson 8. One of the 4 main traits in Stoicism is moderation. It shows us how important it is to control ourselves and live in balance in all areas of our lives. This lesson looks at how temperance can help us keep things in balance and unity, especially when it comes to letting go of ties and controlling our wants. Moderation in wants and feelings. Temperance in Stoicism isn't just about controlling our physical hunger. It also means being moderate in how we feel and what we want. Stoics think that too much of anything, whether it's happiness, sadness, anger, or hunger, can make us lose our inner peace and make it hard to make decisions. By being temperate, we learn to value the middle ground and find happiness in keeping things simple and moderate. It teaches us to think about whether or not our wants are necessary and to tell the difference between what is necessary for a good life and what is not. When it comes to relationships, temperance helps us build healthy, balanced ones that don't involve too much dependence or emotional involvement. In order to build resilience against the hurt of loss or the fear of losing out, it urges you to enjoy life's joys without becoming dependent on them. As a way to let go, temperance is especially useful when you need to let go of ties to people, things, or results. By taking a balanced view on our relationships, we get ready for the fact that things will change, which makes the sadness and disappointment we feel when we are separated less intense. Temperance helps us understand that outside circumstances change quickly and that our happiness should come from our inner state and morals, not from things or people we meet outside of ourselves. It helps us deal with sadness too, because it teaches us to accept loss with grace and find peace in knowing that everything in life is temporary. Through temperance, we learn to let go of things that don't last and instead focus on growing as people, living in an ethical way, and seeking knowledge. The resolute acceptance of change is the 9th lesson. The world has an unbreakable rule that says things will change. Stoicism teaches us to not only accept this, but to welcome it with open arms. This lesson explores the Stoic view of change and shows how accepting it can make a person more resilient and content. Embracing the fact that things will change, the teachings of Stoic thinkers like Marcus Aurelius show us that change is not only inevitable, but also a normal and necessary part of how the universe works. The more we understand and accept that change is a part of life, the more calm and ready we can be for the changes that happen. This somber acceptance is more than just giving up. It's an active participation in life, knowing that change brings both ends and starts, chances and loses. When we accept that nothing lasts forever, we learn to value the current moment more and let go of our ties to certain results. With this point of view, our minds and spirits become more flexible, which lets us handle new situations with grace and find peace in the middle of life's challenges. Using change for personal growth. The calm acceptance of change also tells us to see every change in our lives as a chance to grow as people. Change forces us to develop, put our ideals to the test, and develop resilience. It teaches us that the real power we have is not in controlling the outside world, but in controlling how we react to it inside. Stoicism says that we should use change to make ourselves better by asking ourselves what lessons we can learn and how we can become stronger after each event. This proactive approach to change gives us the power to live with more purpose, making choices that are in line with our values and guiding us toward a life with meaning and purpose. When we accept change, we commit to learning and discovering ourselves for the rest of our lives, always changing to become the best versions of ourselves. Stoicism and the search for inner peace are the topics of Lesson 10. One of the main goals of Stoic theory is inner peace, which can only be reached by controlling one's thoughts and actions. This last lesson looks at how Stoicism can help us grow a state of calm and happiness no matter what happens in life. Growing peace through virtue. Stoicism teaches that the only way to find real peace is to work on your virtues and use your mind. When we act in line with the ideals of knowledge, fairness, courage, and balance, we build a base for permanent peace. This inner peace doesn't depend on whether external good or bad things happen or not. It depends on how we react to them. Stoics like Epictetus tell us that our problems come from how we see and judge things. To stay calm, we need to train ourselves to see life's events through the lens of realism and virtue. This way of thinking gives us the strength to face problems with a steady and calm mind, by letting go of worries about things we can't control. St. Augustine thought that inner peace comes naturally when you live a good life and let reason guide your every thought and deed. The part of thought and acceptance. To find inner peace, you have to keep thinking about things and accept life as it is, with all of its ups and downs. Stoicism pushes people to do self-examination every day. This means thinking about their actions and attitudes and learning from their wins and failures. This process of reflecting helps us become more self-aware and grow as people, which leads to a more peaceful state of being over time. Also, patient acceptance, also known as amor fati, or love of fate, is a key part of achieving peace. When we accept what life throws at us without fighting it or being angry, we can find peace in the knowledge that everything happens as it should in the world. This acceptance is not an inactive state of mind. It is an active support of life, realizing that even hard times help shape our character and knowledge. As we move on from these tough lessons on letting go of ties and dealing with loss, let us remember that we have the strength to keep going and the grace to let go. Going through loss and separation is not a way to become empty, but rather a chance to fill our lives with good things and important moments. Find peace in the middle of change, grow by letting go, and develop a heart that is both resilient and open to the beauty of the present moment by adopting the knowledge of Stoicism. These lessons should help you turn every goodbye into a step toward inner peace and every struggle into a sign of growth. Here's to living a full life with open hands and a heart that isn't heavy. As we draw this reflective journey to a close, it's clear that the lessons of Stoicism, learned late, carry with them both the weight of regret and the potential for profound transformation. While we may wish for the ability to turn back time and guide our younger selves with the wisdom we now hold, the truth is that our journey of learning is never truly finished. Each moment presents a new opportunity to apply these Stoic principles, to embrace acceptance, resilience, and the power of our perceptions in the face of life's inevitable challenges. Let this exploration serve not as a lament over time lost or lessons learned too late, but as an invitation to embrace the wisdom of Stoicism now, regardless of where we find ourselves on life's path. The principles of Stoicism are timeless, offering guidance and comfort that can profoundly impact our present and future. May we carry forward the lessons shared here with a sense of renewal and commitment, applying them to our lives with the understanding that it is never too late to live with greater purpose, peace, and resilience. Let the insights gleaned from this journey inspire us to approach life's uncertainties with a Stoic heart, knowing that our capacity for growth and adaptation is limitless.